It's time to head back down trackside for James Pike. We're almost ready to roll, James.
We are, as a matter of fact, ready to roll. Race fans, it is time for the most famous words in motorsports to begin the 19th running of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Please welcome back the general manager of Thunder Road Harley-Davidson, J.R. Retzlaff.
Drivers, start your engines.
Mitch Gearhart earning his keep down there as the engines fire here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. What a sight and what a sound that all of these race fans have been waiting all night long to hear, to see the best late model stock car drivers in the country take to South Boston Speedway for a totally unique, totally different, a longer race than what they're accustomed to. One of the more competitive fields that you'll ever see in a full field. Here at South Boston Speedway, there is so much chaos that we just don't know what to anticipate is coming up next.
38 engines ready to roar, ready to rumble here for 200 laps. Let's get them rolling. Let's get them in front or behind. They want to stay behind the 2025 Danville Toyota pace car, the XSE hybrid, but 38 cars. I mean, this is great. We don't know what to expect. I don't think anyone does.
38 great cars, 38 capable drivers. Guys, we've got basically 4 sections to this race. That first stage break happens at lap 50. Sometimes classical thinking tells us to think about beginning, middle, end. I think we'll have a beginning portion where people fight hard for track position. A middle phase where drivers settle in and ride a little bit, try to save the equipment. And then that final phase where you go as hard as you can go. That foot might go through the floor. But let me get your opinion, guys. How long does that beginning phase last, do you think? How long does the early fight happen before we start to see people settle in?
I don't know. This is a 4-act drama. Not just 2, not just 3, 4-act drama. And in that first act, that's when drivers are really going to get that feeling we've talked about all weekend long. The track, all practice long, hot and slick. Hot and slick. But now we've been under cloud cover since 1 o'clock this afternoon. The sun has gone down. It's been down for about the past hour and a half. The track, coolest it's been all the past 5-6 days. Anytime the drivers have been here, that first stage, that first act, that first 50 laps is when you're really going to get that feel for what you want to change at lap 100.
I don't know. I just don't think there's a whole lot of holding back. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, patience is going to be key if you're starting up front. But we see so many cars that have been so fast all weekend long, and yet they're having to start at the tail end of the field. You can't ride around for 200 laps and find yourself at the front at the end of this one. You can maybe rely on some attrition, but at that point, it's kind of out of your control. I feel like if you're some of these drivers that we saw scroll across our screen a moment ago, some of the likes of Parker Eatman, Hettinger Racing, they brought some fast horses in the stable this weekend, starting 25th.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to want to, ride around or save if you're in that portion of the field.
I totally agree. Let's meet this field one more time. We'll go row by row through this stacked field. There you go in the front. Oh, Matt Waltz, your pole sitter, and Justin Hicks. He won a pole here a year ago, basically, at South Boston Speedway. Doesn't race with us much. He seems to have it figured out. Let's go to row 2. Talk about getting it figured out. Last year's Road Harley-Davidson 200 champ, Connor Hall, with Mason Bailey beside. Maybe one of those slight surprises there.
One of the best to ever do it here at South Boston Speedway, Peyton Sellers. And how about Barnes Jr.? We know what Lee Pulliam Performance could bring here at South Boston Speedway. They're looking for yet an 8th win. Lee Pulliam, 6 as a driver, 2 as no.
Tate Fogelman there in row number 4 with Connor Jones in 44 to his outside, starting in that 8th position. Row number 5, rounding out the top 10, the 04 of Ronnie Bass Jr. and Trevor Ward leading the points here at South Boston Speedway, but looking for his first ever win in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Fantastic young talent in row 6, Darren Krantz Jr. Daniel Silvestri's not old by any means. The Silver Slugger is a student at Virginia Tech. He'll be ready to go. Row 7 tonight, the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson. Talk about talent. Chase Burrow racing on the Sellers Racing umbrella, and you've got Jonas Schaefer driving it for Hettinger Racing.
How about Brandon Pierce, again, namesake here, the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. This is tight for him, and Carson Lofton continuing to improve on his learning curve here in these late model stocks.
Row number 9, Buddy Iles Jr. in the Flying 11. Going to have to work from the mid-pack, as well as Landon Pimbleton sitting 3rd here in the points. He's won at Martinsville before. He's never won here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Row number 10, Blake Stallings in the 77. The Superman looking to fly today. And Ryan Millington been working all week so hard in that number 15.
Here's a 2-time winner of this event, Dee McCaskill in the 08, won the first one in 2008. A seasoned campaigner, if there ever was one. Woody Howard in the number 41. Row 12 will feature Justin Carroll in the 91 machine, and always a fan favorite, social media dynamo, Landon Huffman.
That's the way racing always works. You can see the fireworks. Those two have had fireworks at Lane a couple weeks ago, and of course you start row 12. You can't picture it any better. Even we just mentioned him, Hettinger Racing, very fast, along with Camden Goley in row 13.
Row 14, Andrew Graney also having to work from the back, and Bobby McCarty having to work from the back. You wouldn't have imagined that. Row 15, Kate Brown, the driver from Texas, having to work up, and Thomas Bean in the 01.
Row 16, you'll find London McKenzie, Jason Myers, 31st and 32nd starters as the lights go out on the pace car. Jeff Sparks, Trey Williams pick up row 17 through 36. It looks Toby Lane as well as Pittman, and row 19, Riley Music, Jessica Can round out your field for the 19th running of the 200.
Caution lights are back on, and wow, it just builds the anticipation.
I was getting ready.
I know, I don't think it was intentional or anything, but yeah, the lights are back on just a little bit. Race control might want the smoke to clear, just possibly, guys. I don't know if that's definitely it, but we'll try to figure it out. That's what the broadcasters are supposed to do. But gentlemen, it has arrived. It really has arrived. The anticipation, it builds and builds and builds so much. I just wonder if you're in that mid-pack with all these cars around you, 2 miles to each side. I wonder if these parade laps feel a bit more uncomfortable than usual.
I can't knock the grin off my face. I mean, look at all these Centera Health late models all the way, and they span so far. I can't knock a grin on my face, and I think the winner of this won't be able to knock the grin off their face when they win the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Let's see who's going to be able to do it, as the Danville Toyota pace car will pull down into the safety of the pit lane. Sit back and enjoy this one from South Boston. The Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 is green.
2 by 2 they go around the 4/10 of a mile oval here at South Boston
Oh, and we got to spin up front. It's Justin Hicks around at the front of the field. The rest of the pack trying to slow down and avoid. And somehow it seems as though Trevor Ward may have gotten the worst of it, as a spin on the front row slows us on lap number 1 of 200.
Trevor Ward went up on 2 wheels right over somebody's left rear tire. Just nowhere to go. You saw a stockade of late model stock cars right there in the center of 3 and 4, but I think it all started with the 61 of Justin Hicks from the front row.
Looks like Matt Waltz and Connor Hall are going to be up front. Now, we did not get one green flag lap completed. Trevor Ward got into the pits with good speed, guys. That makes me think maybe he's got a chance to get back out there. We're seeing some other cars visit pit road, including the 17 Jason Myers. We are seeing Justin Hicks roll down there, and there were some hard hits in there. Give credit to the drivers that were behind the madness. They really got on the binders pretty quickly, and again, did some good evasive action. James has got some information trackside.
Yeah, I made it down to Trevor Ward's pit. A lot of frustration on video, a lot of discussion about how Trevor thought that was a little bit unnecessary to be that aggressive lap race. A lot of the damage was focused on the right rear. They looked the right rear first, trying to assess the damage there. No attention is going to the right side of this race car, but this is a tough, tough break for the winner of the Valley Star Credit Union 300 in 2023. Was really happy with this race earlier today. He thought that this was to be a race that could make or break him. I talked to him earlier, and he said that this is a race where you can gain a lot of points both for the track championship and lose a lot of points in the track championship. This is a night where he's going to have to claw sort of, I guess, off the back foot here to try and make things happen. But Trevor Ward here, all crew here thrashing, trying to get this car fixed up. Very, very hectic scenes in the 77 pit.
A+ intelligence early on from James Pike. That man will be busy tonight. That man works very hard on the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 night. Talking about James Pike, he's going to be vital to our broadcast to give us some information like that. Here comes a second look at it, race fans. Let's see what we can see.
There's contact there with Matt Waltz as they enter the corner. Waltz turning in earlier, and then everybody else. I mean, just look at this. It's a bevy of humanity of late model stocks as everybody is trying to slow down. And again, it's right kind of at the end of that pit wall in 3 and 4, so it's still really tight at that end. But we'll get a great vantage point of it here. Look, 2 and 61 up front. And Waltz just turns in earlier than I think Justin Hicks was expecting him to.
That was entry of turn 3 there, guys, coming down the back straightaway.
Oh, Sellers got a big hit in the right front.
And Mason Bailey missed it just barely. But you got to wonder, you got to think that Matt Waltz maybe entered a little early there, and Hicks was not expecting it. But you said it, Blake. I mean, Sellers got a huge hit.
Big race vibes, big race tension can force you into a mistake early on. And don't misunderstand me, not calling it a mistake from anybody, but it happens so quickly.
Oh,
you got to be really switched on. One thing I'll point out as well, these guys haven't been in the car for a really long time. Go Halifax qualifying was back at 4:15. You've just been sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then all of a sudden, when it hits, I mean, you're shot out of a cannon. You are absolutely shot out of a cannon. That's a look at the number 3 machine, Trey Williams. Young guy had high hopes for this one. Unfortunately, those might be dashed, and we're not even 1 lap in.
He was one of our rookies here for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. One of them already gone. He was a car that made contact with the 61, and that's the thing. When you have 38 Centerio late models, you got one spun right off of a start. When people are evading, there's times that it's too late.
So here's the information handed to us by our officials. Lap does not count. We did not complete a green flag lap. And worth pointing out right here, once the race does actually get started, guys, caution laps will count up until lap 290. Stage break cautions don't count there either. And we'll revisit that when we hit those stage breaks at 50, 100, and 150. But these caution laps are not counting because we did not complete a green flag lap. That means we still have 200 to go in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Well, and again, for those fans who are wondering why that may be the case, if we are going to count caution laps, why didn't it count? Well, essentially the way racing works here at the short track level is that your only loop for timing and scoring is the start-finish line. And if not everybody can get there before that yellow flag flies, we don't have all the technology and all the scoring loops around that you would typically see, like in bigger NASCAR Cup Series racetracks. So to ensure the order is as accurate as possible, they'll essentially start them in the exact same order, aside from the cars that were involved in this incident. So if we had gotten to that timing line, wouldn't have had to worry about it.
James has got more down trackside. Go ahead, JP.
Got Trey Williams here, was caught up in that incident. Trey, could you see anything? Could you do anything differently from your perspective, or was that just everything coming together at once?
There's nothing I could really do. They all started checking up in front of me. I was having to pump my brakes a little bit more than I like under caution, and when I went to slow down, there's nowhere to go. I mean, it kind of sucks, these guys, they think they can win it on lap 1, and they just drive in over their heads. I mean, that's kind of the nature of these races, but we struggled in qualifying after having a good day, and so we put ourselves back there, but I thought we could at least, make up for it in the race. I know we had a good car. Just sucks to get caught up in one of these freak deals like this. There's just nothing I could do. I slowed down, I hit the brakes, and I got shoved from behind, I think, and I just nowhere to go, and radiator got knocked out of it.
All the work that he had to do earlier today, he had to replace the motor on this machine, and all that work effectively negated with the damage here out early, Trey Williams.
And again, there's still crew members working on the front end of that race car, trying to get him back out there, but it would appear that he's out of the car. The helmet is off for Trey Williams.
The absolute brutal nature of auto racing, because you do all that work. You can work all year to get yourself ready, as you are seeing another look at what we thought was going to be lap number 1. It was not, but that's what this sport does. It breaks your heart in the blink of an eye. You have put everything into this race, and it's over even before it begins, race fans. That also is part of what makes it so sweet when you can win a race like this, because you do have to dodge some things like this. You have to get some good luck. We had folks that were trying to have a little jab up front. It turned into a full-blown knockout for many cars behind them.
London McKenzie, another one of those drivers that got involved right behind Jason Myers. Jason Myers looked to be out of this race as well, was up on the hook of the tow truck. London McKenzie, you saw that hood crushed up behind Myers, and he is in the pits.
Real quick note on Jason Myers. Remember, he kind of gave up on the limited sportsman campaign
for this,
just to focus on this, and it's heartbreak. Again, back to what I say. I mean, this sport can elevate you. We saw that with first-time winners tonight, Zach Paragoy, Jourdain Pennick. This sport can bring tears to your eye in tears of joy, and it can make you cry the other tears as well, because that heartbreak, again, can happen so fast.
And again, there were two drivers that, you talk about being lucky. Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than fast. And Carson Lofton, Darren Krantz Jr., I mean, it was reminiscent of what we saw
Mason
earlier.
Bailey.
Yeah, what we saw earlier. I mean, I don't want to say, because we have a lot of cars that got a decent amount of damage in that, but I feel like, again, that was second place that spun in front of a full field of 40 cars. I don't want to say
worst-case scenario.
Yeah, I don't want to say it could have been worse, but it really could have been. And there were several guys that had really heads-up driving. And that's not just the drivers. Again, that's the spotters that, again, right here at South Boston Speedway, the spotters are pretty much directly in front of us. They're at the top of the grandstands. They're not up on the press box or anything like that, or on the suites in turn 1. So they have a very low vantage point. And where that wreck would have started, that's the entry to turn 3. That's probably the most difficult position on this racetrack to clear a driver or try to spot your driver through it.
That's right. Well, and you saw that from Peyton Sellers. He had to jump to the left as quickly as possible. Wasn't quite able to clear it. You saw jumped up on that right front. And that right front, one of the most important tires on the racetrack in terms of suspension, how it plants into the racetrack. That's what you lean on when you're rotating through the corners. You lean off the right rear, obviously on exit, but on entry, you are requiring that right rear to be in exact performing condition. And here's the thing, Trevor Ward got involved in it with the right rear. He was able to come down pit road. His team checked on it. Seems to be all good. They seem to be get out on track. But that's the thing about Peyton Sellers. He didn't come into pit road. He didn't want to give up all that track position.
Solid look at London McKenzie's machine. It's looking more like a modified vehicle right now, but looks like they are making attempts to get that radiator strapped down and make sure they can get back out there and race. Our race officials will have a say in that. They'll give it a once-over and see if they approve of everything. This is the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, and it's been, what would we call this, a false start, maybe? I don't know. It probably doesn't even sum it up really for what it deserves. I think every big race, and perhaps every race, you hold your breath on the start. I mean, it's not uncommon or anything like that. We have James Pike again, who's busy downstairs with Riley Music.
Yeah, just talked to Riley Music's crew, and they told me that they were concerned about the toe being knocked down on that car. They said that he got both walls pretty good, but thankfully, compared to some of the other drivers who had a little bit more unfortunate luck, they're not necessarily as worried about some of the major parts and pieces beyond that. So keeping an eye on toe for Riley Music, but otherwise in relatively okay shape.
And again, you can kind of see the field. You can see Riley Music's going to be able to go back and join them. They had doubled up, and like we mentioned, with the order and with timing and scoring and everything, they're going to try to put them as close to the order of what the original starting order was as possible, aside from the drivers that were involved in that incident. They've doubled them up and put them in 1 and 2. A couple of those drivers, I think, should be able to rejoin. We'll see if they're put at the tail end of the field or not. But again, still a lengthy amount of cleanup that looks like it's almost complete. In 3 and 4, they had to put a lot of speedy dry down there in the middle of probably right in that high groove in in the middle of turn 3.
Well, and you saw it, all that fluid from Trey Williams, from the 17 of Jason Myers, as well as London McKenzie. And it's just frustrating there for a lot of drivers. Like you said, you do all this preparation, you do all this work, and it's over before the first lap is even complete.
And the busiest man in motorsports, at least on 200 night, is James Pike. Go ahead again, James.
I want to give credit to our cameraman, Mitch Gerhardt, who ran down pit road to make sure that we could get this. But we're here with Jason Myers. Jason, what did you see from behind the wheel in that incident?
Yeah, I just saw everybody checking up there. I'm sure somebody spun out there in the middle of the turn, and I actually got woke down, and the people behind me just piled into me. It's just it's a racing incident. It happens when you have this many cars out there. So just couldn't keep our nose clean, but we showed a lot of progress during the week. So just hopefully we can bring some of those notes back to do it again.
Is that the biggest takeaway? Because we talked earlier, and you said that you had made a lot of leaps and bounds here. Once you switch your focus from the limited sportsman to this late model program, can you take those notes that you've learned and sort of build it into a faster car for the rest of the local season here at Sobo?
Yeah, absolutely. I wish we could take our car home in one piece and you get better notes, but we know pretty much what we did all weekend, and we just put ourselves behind the 8 ball there in qualifying. Just couldn't get the drive that we needed. And this stuff happens when you get back there. So, like I said, it's just a racing incident. Just wish we could still be in it.
He told me earlier that he knows the feel that he's looking for. He just has to figure out how to make the car do that. That will be the continued battle. But one worth watching here, because there are plenty of races, Kyle and Scott, that you'll be calling on the rest of the Sobo on Flow season.
No doubt about it. Thank you, James. Thank you, Jason Myers. I think that tells you a lot about Jason Myers.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he's so even-keeled. That interview, I mean, talk about handling a terrible situation with the best temperament. I mean, that's Jason Myers. He's one of those guys you and I talk about, Scott. He's a real calculator. I mean, he's genius level.
And he's a guy that understands racing. He knows the highs and lows. He's experienced it himself, and he understands stuff like this just happens. Yep. It's not that it's not frustrating. It's not that he's not upset or angry, but you just know this is what happens. He's one of those guys that's just like, all right, how can I take a positive note out of this? I got a lot of notes from this past week getting prepared for this late model race for the Thunder Road Harley 200. And he said, you know, I want to take that forward. I want to continue to build upon this, and they'll rebuild the front end of that car and continue to build on their Centera Health late model program.
And you got to continue to build. That's what the best ones do, and that's what Jason Myers will continue to do. His dad, Billy, was a 3-time track champion here at South Boston Speedway. Well, let's shift the focus back to the drivers that are still in the field. How about start with the front row? It's going to be Connor Hall, that didn't take long, and Matt Waltz. Is Matt Waltz going to have a bit of an itchy trigger finger after that false start, guys? Again, I know everybody does. No driver is immune to feeling that tension, Blake. And you can give us more insight from all your different perspectives. But this is going to be another start or restart where everybody holds their breath.
So get them stacked back up. We'll get them ready to get back and going. A little bit of a hiccup at the start, but let's get it on. 200 laps here at South Boston for the 19th running of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Let's see how long they can keep it pointed in the right direction this time. Trouble came in turn 3 earlier. Looks like everybody's getting through there clean now as Connor Hall and Matt Waltz cross the start-finish line. Have one green flag lap. And you can truly say now, gentlemen, we racing at South Boston Speedway, the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
2 cars, single file right now. It's double wide for third. Tate Fogelman trying to get her Mason Bailey and was so to doing it. But Mason Bailey, a great drive on that outside line. Again, Tate Fogelman, remember talking with him before North Wilkesboro, and he told me, I absolutely love these high grip racetracks. This is exactly where I'm comfortable. and he is proven time again, despite the fact that he's been in some incidents in some of those races. You can see a little bit of a wrinkle in the plastic nose of that 5-star race car body that he has, but not slowing him at all. He's able to clear Mason Bailey up to third.
Mason Bailey in his still fourth start in this race. He had an impressive run in qualifying. Let's see how it goes for the race. Again, a lot of laps ahead. Doug Barnes Jr., who started in 6th, he's up to 5th right there, hounding the rear bumper of the 05 of Mason Bailey. And then it's barely single file. Ronnie Bassler running in the 8th position. He's holding up Darren Krantz Jr. on the outside, who's trying to make a great run from outside the top 10.
Brandon Pierce has worked himself into the top 10. He's a +5 early in the race that he wants to win. As bad, worse than anything he's ever. Brandon Pierce is inside the top 10, trying to get close to Ronnie Bassett Jr. They're also chasing your race leader, Matt Waltz. Con Hall is very much in the mix, and Tate Fogelman, Doug Barnes Jr. in 4th right now for the lead Pulliam Racing team. Doug Barnes will be ready. Ooh, and they are really in trouble now. Another big one, another big hit in between 3 and 4. We have got caution on the racetrack again. We have got to unpack this and figure out exactly what happened.
It was 2 separate incidents.
Yeah, 2 entirely separate. Had this one in the middle of 3 and 4 of Riley Music. And on the backstretch, Landon Huffman and Grady come together on the backstretch. And another early incident for Andrew Grady. He had the exact same thing in this race 1 year. And there's a lot to unpack here because I had Riley Music and an incident over in 3 and 4. I think it was Connor Jones and somebody else they were going into turn 3 and they didn't see it in time. They got together, and then Huffman and Grady all happened on the backstretch, and huge damage for Peyton Sellers.
Both incidents, Peyton Sellers collected in. You saw it. We'll break down those 2 separate incidents, but it looks like on the backstretch with Landon Huffman and Grady, it started all from a checkup, and Landon Huffman got into the rear of whoever was in front of him. We'll get that driver to you as soon as possible. And then Andrew Grady, nowhere to go as Huffman was spinning. But a big damage for your 2-time Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 champion in Peyton Sellers.
That hurts. That's the one that hurts. Night is not done yet. You see that great Sellers race team working furiously to get him back on track as soon as possible. So much going on. 38 race cars. Was 38 anyway. We've got the attrition early. You could have 38 separate broadcasters. Somehow you would still miss what happens. But some of that's because of the high speed and just kind of the periodic nature of this race. Trevor Ward is back in the pits again. Remember, after the first incident, Ward was at the rear of the field, saw him fairly loose down there, and I think James Pike is going to have more intel in that arena.
I've actually made it into Peyton Sellers' pit, the most accomplished of the drivers here. Multiple Triple Crown wins, multiple wins in race right now. Focus on trying to fix one of the braces right underneath the nose, right where the hood attaches, just trying to so that they can get the hood attached back on the race car, and then working around the rest of the damage on the front end and checking toe, making sure that they also try and avoid going multiple laps down. That was also one of the big concerns here, making sure they don't lose too much time. Thankfully, they'll have cars stopped on the racetrack, so a little bit of an extra opportunity for Sellers and company to look at this car, assess the damage. But basically, a lot of hammers just trying to beat out fenders on the front end, and then they'll see what else might have gotten hurt in this incident on this Clarence's Steakhouse machine.
Great work again, James Pike. James Pike is hustling. So is Mitch Gearhart. They're splitting up so they could cover more ground down there in the pits. And we may have some things developing in the pits, Blake. I know you had your eye on the cars that are still on the track, but also cars that are in pit road as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see here in a moment. Again, you can see Andrew Grady right now climbing out of his #1 car. The frustration that he has right now, again, involved in that incident with Landon Huffman on the back straightaway. And again, you talk about kind of the influence behind the sponsorship for Landon Huffman was the fact that he was called a trash panda by this driver, and then somehow they end up in an incident. And in fact, the Trash Pandas, that minor league baseball team on the car of Landon Huffman, they gave Andrew Grady a personalized jersey earlier today. But you can see Grady right now. He's going to work on his car again. The Torque chassis.
He wanted the light.
Yeah, well, that race team was on they're parked on the back straightaway, so he's kind of parked here and trying to assess everything and using our light from our camera to get a better look.
That's fun. I mean, that's a fun sequence right there. And let me go back to the rivalry. Sometimes it's a bit of a gray area for the broadcasters. I think it's part of what makes our sport great, the rivalry. You know what else makes it great? The fans. They're watching replays right now on South Boston Speedway, trying to figure out what happens. I always talk about the passionate race fans, Scott. They have an opinion. May not always be the same as the guy or gal beside them, but that's what makes a great race fan when you have an opinion. Express it in the right way, but love it when they have an opinion.
Well, that's getting pumped out by all the people here, NASCAR here, as well as our people at the track, just pumping out this information of what is going on here in this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, the 19th running. A pretty thrilling start. Again, I think we said at the very beginning of this, we didn't know what we were going to expect here. We've got a replay of the first incident here. Watch along with Mason Bailey, Daniel Silvestri. Big checkup there. There's a big caution is out earlier. I got to imagine the caution came out for Landon Huffman in that incident, and then because of that, they checked up. Oh, it must have been Riley Music ahead.
Yeah,
there's like 4 incidents here.
So Music and Hicks was the initial, I'm pretty sure the initial pause to everything. That's the tail end of it. That happened well after the fact, I believe. So it was those two parked, and you could see Barnes, he's running up in the 4th position. They wrecked in the back, so the leaders are going to be the first ones to have to check up for all of that. And then Connor Jones, Mason Bailey, they get together. Jones not able to slow down in time before making contact with Mason Bailey. And then I think pretty much the same thing happened on the backstretch, reacting to what was going on in front of them. And we've seen that. We saw that in the other divisions all night, and it's continuing again tonight.
Well, with a race that's already featured quite a bit of bad news, here's some good news. The cars are rolling again. If you're a Peyton Sellers fan, he rolled out of the pits. Trevor Ward looked like he did the same. So good news there. And again, as cars continue to fade away, other drivers' hopes will rise. You know, that's the thing about physical racing. Somebody's got to benefit from it. Maybe it's a last man or woman standing situation, but somebody will benefit. And early on, I think you have to say multiple somebody's probably benefit, right, Scott?
Well, I'm looking at one. Daniel Silvestri started in 12th up to 5th position. So he's gained 7 spots by navigating through the carnage. And you know, there in that incident, I was watching all Landon Huffman and all that, and it seems that was the last reaction of the initial incident with Riley Music and Justin Hicks. But some of these drivers, the way not going this night, but look, we got a lot of laps ahead.
Yeah, Brandon Pierce now, Blake, +7. He's continuing to benefit from this a bit. And also, I think he's got a really great race car.
Yeah, he does. And he kind of, again, saw that incident early. He was able to get to the low side and avoid all of the carnage there. And again, when I talked to Brandon Pierce yesterday, again, this is not something new for him in this Carroll Speed Shop program. They have been bringing a lot of speed with him and Landon Huffman in the Cars Tour all throughout the season. But the one thing Brandon said yesterday is, I just want to finish where I deserve to finish. Whether it was Langley a couple weeks ago, Dominion, he feels like he's had several top 10, top 5 level efforts in the tour. Just hasn't been able to piece all of that together. He just wants to finish where he deserves to finish, and I have a feeling right now the driver behind the wheel thinks he's got a very fast race car.
He's one of those drivers that we talked about. If you're having a subpar 2025, this could be that revamp to get you back and going. His best finish in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 came in 2018, a 4th place in the top 5, and he said he just wants to finish where he deserves, and he's run really well in this race before. This is his 9th start in the 200. He's got 2 top 5s in the Hampton Heat as well. So he's one of those drivers you think if you can make it out of South Boston, make it out of here from the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 with a good finish, maybe a win, that you could finally have that chance to go after the Virginia Triple Crown Championship.
Survive and advance is a great term there. Survive and advance. It is a battle for survival early, not exactly a battle for track position yet anyway. I'll throw Connor Hall in the conversation again. He has done nothing wrong early in this race, and I know we've hit on Tate Fogelman a bit, same way. I don't think you can say they've done anything to hurt their chances so far. And officially, I'm seeing 12 laps completed. That would mean 188 to go. We do have our first stage break at lap 50. 50 lap mark. We'll take a break. No adjustments there. That comes at the halfway point after 100 in the books.
And that stage break will get $250 to leader, sponsored by Gutter Works. They also sponsor our green flag here at South Boston Speedway with the lights are off. And we're going to get back rolling. Looks like on the timing screen, 28 cars left on the lead lap. And so 10 already down and off the lead lap.
And again, some big movers already almost towards the top 10. Landon Pimbleton started 18th. He's in 11th. Ryan Millington. And Millington's going to be aggressive here with lane choice. He's always somebody, if there's an inside lane or some way that he can move forward, he's going to be aggressive with that. He's already up about 8 spots as well.
Connor Hall had some great insight in last year's win about lane choice and how he decided to make those moves late in the race. You know, you've got so many factors there. I think Connor Hall mentioned he heard something out of Trevor Ward's car that made him contemplate a different lane than he was thinking about initially. Let me give you the stats again about lead laps, since you mentioned that. An average of 41% of the cars finish on the lead lap in this race. That's just under a dozen vehicles, 11.85. Any given year, we're going to have a different amount of entries, but an average of 41% of cars finish on the lead lap. If this continues, guys, that number will be lower tonight. We're going to need a good long run of green flag racing. Hey, about those long runs, who could that benefit? Who's got the car set up for a good long run?
Well, I would have initially said Trevor Ward, but you saw after that damage on the right rear, you saw in that quick green flag stint, he was way off the pace, almost went a lap down naturally under green.
You mentioned Daniel Silvestri. You can see a little bit of damage on the nose of his car, but again, just get it to the halfway break. You're going to be able to fix
that down
it
with
for
the
10
elbow.
minutes. Yep, exactly. All good there.
Let's use that Empower Broadband restart zone one more time. Maybe less chaos this time around. Turn and burn again in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 at South Boston Speedway.
Waltz on the high side, draws even with Connor Hall on the inside. Can Connor Hall take away the lead, or will he give it up? Waltz on the high side leads this lap by half a car length.
Waltz will take the lead. He's going to be able to clear in front, just in front of Connor Hall, who also is able to get up in front of Doug Barnes Jr. And Doug Barnes, a great opening couple of laps that he's been able to put together under Road Harley-Davidson 200. One of the youngsters making some moves here. Further back of the pack, Darren Krantz Jr. almost up into the top 5.
I'll continue back through the field. Peyton Sellers is blitzing the cars that were in front of him. I know he took some damage, but gosh, the car is still really fast. Trevor Ward as well. Trevor Ward is making moves. He's found some speed somehow too. Do not count those guys out yet. There is a long way to go. They will have to make quite a few more passes. Your leader still, Matt Walsh, Hall in second, Eric Dubs in third, Daniel Silvestri fourth. It's Fogelman rounding out the top 5.
Looks like the outside line is where you want to be. You can see Brandon Pierce in the 2, right inside of the top 10, just barely fighting with Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 04, but Bassett Jr. able to be down on the exit. It seems you can just get a better run. That's how we saw Matt Waltz take away the lead on this restart. You want to get to the outside as quick as possible.
Well, and again, Carson Lofton, you can see the car on your screen right here. The 3 cars in front of him choose the inside to try and jump up positions. Lofton chose the outside, and he passed every single car that had jumped a couple of rows in front of him. So that goes to show you that at least in the mid-pack here, protecting that high line, we can see the youngster doing it right in front of the seasoned veteran in Dink McCaskill, who we know is one of the better drivers at running that outside line here at South Boston Speedway. Used that to perfection when he won his car store race here just 2 years ago.
I'm checking lap times here, guys. Everybody 1 through 11 has sub-16s right now. DeCaskill, who is currently P12, over 16 seconds per lap. That tells you a lot of the story right there. As you scan through the field, it looks like Peyton Sellers may have just dropped a lap time that is under 16 seconds. Trevor Ward, pardon me, 15.92 last trip around.
There's only 2 drivers outside of that, 3 drivers outside of that top 10 that are in that sub 15. It's Millington, it's Trevor Ward, and it's Parker Eatman. Ward back on the pace, but he's 2 laps down.
And again, early candidate, I think, for the Soil Sunoco Hard Charger Award might be the 15 car that is starting to come to life just behind Carson Lofton. A couple of drivers that are able to pull off that feat right now, and still a great side-by-side battle that is going on between these 2 black and orange cars. Ronnie Bassett Jr., Brandon Pierce. Pierce been very aggressive on these restarts, going all the way down to the inside, and Bassett right now holding steady in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, look at Ward. I mean, he is going through. He's got to get those laps back, though.
He's flying. I mean, Trevor Ward is flying. Go back to Brent Pierce here. I like what he's doing. He's working hard. And again, I'm going to overuse the phrase, there is still a lot of hard work to do. 173 laps to go, but we have finally had a little bit of a longer run. Probably doesn't fall in the long run category yet, guys, but at least we've had some green flag laps. Now the drivers can actually feel out what they've got from their rides.
And again, you mentioned Trevor Ward. He's scrolling across on your screen, 29th. He's 2 laps down. No belts in front of him is a lap down, but he needs that caution to come quickly because Pittman or some of those cars that the leader may catch, if they jump in front of him, that takes away the lucky dog from him.
Well, we're guaranteed to get those 2 cautions by lap 100. So for sure, if he stays in front of everyone else, he stays out of any more trouble, he'll be back on the lead lap by lap 100.
Unless Pittman gets lapped. That's
a good point. That's a great one. Let's get into lap traffic because you make a great point that I didn't even think about.
All right, let's go side by side now. Good battle on the racetrack with the flying of Buddy Isles Jr. He's inside. Darren Krantz Jr. 7 outside. Let's see how these two hook up and how negotiate and navigate this little speed duel that is currently for P6. Tate Fogelman is further out in front of those two. This is what we talked about. How much of your stuff you risk using up for just one spot early in the race.
Well, and that's something that we talked about, but also think about this. Buddy Isles Jr. running 7th right now, fighting with Darren Krantz Jr. He almost didn't qualify. He had a flat tire, was able to go back out there and qualified right outside of the top 10. He's up into 7th, fighting with Darren Krantz Jr. He's backed off now, just like you said, Kyle, try and conserve.
And Buddy Isles Jr., he does a tremendous job promoting himself and his racing on his social media. He posted several onboards of his on his practice, I should say, from yesterday here at South Boston Speedway. And again, the handling of that car with the temperature and everything as it was in the peak heat of the day, entirely different from what he had now. He said they gained about 3 or 4 tenths yesterday, even despite the fact that the track was really slick, but he has overcome a lot, and right now holding off Bassett for the 7th position.
Buddy Isles Jr. from Littleton, North Carolina, about 90 minutes away from South Boston. The connection with the Flying 11, though, his dad worked for the gentleman that owned the original Flying 11. We know how important Ray Hendrick and Roy Hendrick are to South Boston Speedway. So if these fans see a Flying 11 come into Philip Morris victory lane, you can bet they're going to go crazy, even if they know nothing else about Buddy Isles. Just the paint scheme there and the number will win some hearts out here.
For just a moment, the only time tonight we are completely single filed out. That's going to change in just a moment. Ryan Millington continued to work through the field. He's now working on Landon Pimbleton, one of the toughest customers, the best defender at South Boston Speedway here in the Centera Health Late Models. That's going to be a tough pass.
Well, again, we hear how tough it is to pass, but Ryan Millington has not had any trouble navigating around all 3 of those cars that are lined up right behind him. Jonathan Schaefer, Carson Lofton, and the 08 of Deke Maskell. And again, Millington, he was somebody who was so confident. He barely ran any laps in practice yesterday. He has shifted his focus from a full-time car store effort into this Triple Crown. And again, this is a small but mighty team. He, his father Scott, his spotter Brandon, that's it. That's the team that he brings to the racetrack. And despite the fact that they've been able to focus and test a little bit for this, if they have the ability to prepare and test with some of these bigger teams, no shock to see what they've been able to accomplish so far tonight.
Just saw for the first time brake glow. Chase Burrow into turn 3. We're beginning to see brake glow. It shows you how hard he's stamping on the brakes. Haven't seen that in anyone else, but that's something we haven't thought about as well. How much are you using brakes? Because you mentioned it very well, Kyle, talking about on the gas, heavy on the brakes. That's what these drivers are. You can see it in Chase Burrow's car next time we get it around, but he has got that brake glow.
Let me pose the question to you guys. Are we also seeing that third groove develop? Because I know we're seeing cars spread out with width on the racetrack. I'm not sure it's a true speed slot just yet, if that makes sense, guys.
I don't know. Pimbleton was showing a great example of it there.
That's what made me think about it.
And again, this is important here. 6 laps to go until that stage break. Trevor Ward is hoping and praying that, I believe it's Connor Jones that's up there. Now, he's already a couple laps down, so not going to have to worry about that. but is Pittman going to go a lap down? That 50 car that's a little bit up the road from Connor Jones. If Waltz doesn't pass them, that gives Trevor Ward the lucky dog, and then he'd be the only car one lap down. This is big for his race if he's going to be able to come back.
Yeah, we got the free pass lucky dog rule in effect here tonight. I have a feeling that won't be the last time we talk about it this evening, as we've been mentioning lead laps quite a bit. Haven't really mentioned the two up front here, Matt Waltz and Connor Hall. I think they have to love the way this is materializing for them, because as we've said, sometimes saving is a little bit overrated, but they can run their preferred line. They're getting the good clean air, and if they want to, they can do a little exploration, some fact-finding missions if they need to find a line B or C at some point.
You got to start moving around. You got to start searching. You got to figure out what your car, where it works best, and you got to figure out what it needs, because again, we're almost through stage one, act one of this race. You got to figure it out. You're going to get that $250 prize. It's looking like it'll go to Waltz, and that'll be from Gutter Works. But again, talking about the rest of the field, this is a really important time, because you only get one time to make changes.
Well said right there. And Matt Waltz, who you have to say survived a shaky start. Some of it may have been on his own doing. He contributed to part of that shaky start, but it's working out right now. Stage one complete, and your stage one leader after 50 laps will be Matt Waltz.
Looks like Ward was able to stay that first car 2 laps down. No cars 1 lap down. That is unofficial, but on per timing screen, it looks like that might be the case, because Ward, I mean, whatever broke in the right front, whatever they got fixed, he was flying back there trying to work through the pack.
They worked quickly. Another small team as well, Blake. Another team that really does more with less.
That is exactly the case with Trevor Ward, and again, one of the more brilliant minds in the pit area, and he's behind the wheel of a race car here tonight in Trevor Ward. But an exciting, exciting opening 50 laps here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Matt Waltz has led every lap. See a little bit of the damage that he had in the contact early on with Justin Hicks, but right now it is Matt Waltz, Connor Hall, Doug Barnes Jr., your top 3. The end of stage 1 sees Matt Waltz leading the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
I'm Peyton Sellers, and you're watching So on Flow.
Fans of all racing persuasions are in for a treat tonight. I gotta say, the fans of carnage and chaos racing are liking this one a little bit more. Hasn't been much finesse stuff so far, but we could see some of that. Stage 1 is complete. Matt Waltz is your stage 1 leader, and we go down once again to James Pike.
Not a particularly busy pit road here at the end of this first stage. Connor Jones came down to fix some of the damage on his car. Talked to the team. They just said that he's a little bit aero tight with the damage, which makes sense. It's not necessarily as aerodynamic when you get a little bit of the hood crumped up. So they tried to beat that back in and get that back into shape. Meanwhile, also kept an eye and kept ears on the radios of Matt Waltz, Connor Hall, and Doug Barnes Jr. Pretty consistent information being fed throughout that first stage. A lot of lap times, a lot of keeping eyes on gaps, and just maintaining things. I think they all understand it's a long, long way to go in this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, 150 laps left, and that's still longer than your average late model race. So a lot of work to be done, a lot of time for these drivers to figure out what they need and get their cars to the front. It's not a race you're going to win right now.
Thank you once again, James Pike. Keep busting your butt down there. You're bringing a lot to this broadcast. My name is Kyle Haney. We've got Scott Shive and Blake McCandless in the booth. Let's run down the top 10, and then I want you guys to jump in about what's noteworthy, everything, but find something that's standing out. Matt Waltz is your race leader, and he did win $250 from Gutterworks for being the stage 1 leader. Connor Hall in 2nd, Doug Barnes Jr. 3rd, Daniel Silvestri P4. Tate Fogelman rounds out the top 10, and then 6 through 10 looks like Darren Krantz Jr., Ronnie Bassett, Buddy Isles Jr., Brandon Pierce, and Landon Pembleton.
Well, something that I've been looking at is the biggest movers right now, and the driver who just got the lucky dog, 19 of Jessica Can, she is the biggest mover. She's up 12 positions, started dead last, shotgun on the field, and we've always talked about her. She's so good at being so consistent, and she's consistently staying out of incidents, staying clean, and this is one great thing about Jessica Can, that she is able to get it done even when the equipment under her is not the best. Your next biggest mover, Parker Eatman, one of the only 3 drivers outside of the top 10 running sub-16 lap times. He's up 11 spots.
I would say Ronnie Bassett Jr. is the one that's sticking out to me, and he maintained his track position there. He's running in 7th, but as any Cars Tour fan out there knows, Ronnie Bassett Jr., it's always the later half of these races where he really starts to flex his muscles, and I think coming to the end of 100 laps or even 200 laps, you got to look at him because, again, he's great at overcoming bad track position, but he's got it tonight.
Ronnie Bassett Jr. is a guy that's got some experience with longer races, doesn't he? 21 career NASCAR Xfinity starts. We'll see how he restarts. Time to use the Empower Broadband restart zone again. There's that green flag. Let him fly at South Boston Speedway.
Matt Waltz led every lap. Can he keep that streak going? Or can Connor Hall work from the inside? We've seen the high line be the line to be in. It looks like Matt Waltz going to have it across the stripe. And there we go. Connor Hall going to move into line. And look at Doug Barnes Jr., the 288s, 2nd and 4th. But Daniel Silvestri trying to stick it in there in 3rd.
Fantastic restart. That top 10 is eye-catching right now. And those top 4, wow, anybody's guess at the moment here, Blake.
It is, and Silvestri, he looks like he almost completed that pass, and indeed he is off of turn number 2. So Daniel Silvestri not bothered at all by the little bit of hood damage that he's got. You can see some sparks out of the number 8 with some of those lower tire pressures. Coming up to full song here. Oh, they touch! A little bit of contact between the 8 of Fogelman and the 77 of Darren Krantz Jr.
Scott, we've seen a lot of moving and shaking and caution passes. Not a ton of green flag passes yet so far in this one. That says a lot about Daniel Silvestri and his chances.
Well, Daniel Silvestri at 17 go to victory lane many times in the past year and a half with Caden Honeycutt, Josh Berry behind that wheel, behind that infamous team in that number 17. Caden Honeycutt probably the most notable, but Silvestri, I got to talk to him the other morning, and he said, while I don't get to make as many starts as I'd like to or driving late models, he said, when I get the opportunity, I take everything I can get out of it. He's doing that now. He's up 9 spots, started in 12th, right outside of the top 10, and he's just riding. And while all that goes on, the battle for the lead back on. Connor Hall working to the inside. Matt Waltz trying to take it away.
And again, it was only a matter of time. You know, if you give Connor Hall enough leeway to hang out at the front of the field, you know that that's pretty much, he's going to pass at some point. So you continue to do this racing further on back of the field again, 2 and 3 wide all throughout the pack. Is now it's single file back out of front. Matt Waltz still able to hang on. Right now, Ronnie Bassett Jr. has hands full trying to hold off Landon Pimbleton, and still Buddy Isles hanging strong there on the bottom.
Connor Hall keeping him busy. Connor Hall keeping him busy, but Matt Waltz still your race leader, still in command right now. But it's never going to be a sure thing, especially with this field and some guys that get closer and closer and closer. And keeping an eye on Landon Pendleton, trying to check out and see if he is going to be able to make a move at some point here. He may be content just to hang out in that 9th position right behind Buddy Isles.
Tate Fogelman continuing to move forward, got past Darren Krantz Jr. Now he's working to the inside of Doug Barnes Jr. That's the thing about racing.
Trouble. Turn 4.
Oh, Jessica Can, Thomas Bean. Looks like Raymond Pittman III is involved as well.
We just said Jessica Can putting the car in good spots. That can change in a heartbeat. Remember, the track is changing at this moment. We haven't really talked about track conditions because we've been focused on the chaos, and rightfully so, but the track is changing right underneath your tires. And also, let's not forget, your own equipment is changing as well.
Well, and I was just about to mention, here's the thing. Here's one of the keys to victory here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. You've got to be able to run all lines. You got to be able to run the high line. You got to be able to run the middle and the bottom. Tate Fogelman, as you saw just there, he's one of the drivers that is starting to make the inside work. I would say the same about Silvestri.
I would say one little caveat to that would be, if you're somebody like Matt Waltz, you might be able to run your preferred line all night.
Well, that's true.
Exactly. Being out front. Now, that can help you because obviously you're up front. things are going good, it also hurt you a little bit because, again, you're not experimenting. You're not being forced to run a lot of different lanes all over the racetrack. So it's a blessing and a curse in a way if you're Matt Waltz, who, at least for the time being, able to run the middle and hold off Connor Hall.
And that could be where the experience comes in for a guy like Matt Waltz to know, or at least have an educated guess of, I don't need to experiment. I don't need to go look around there because I've been in a 200-lap race like this before at South Boston, and XYZ happened. Now, again, still an educated guess, Scott. You're never going to know for sure, but that's I think, a place where experience really does come in handy.
Well, and I don't think he has much time to experiment because early in the first stage, before we got the Gutterworks 250, he got the Gutterworks $250. We saw that Connor Hall was right on his tail. And if you have one mistake, Connor Hall's back to the inside, or maybe you make a mistake and gets to the outside, able to hold it on you. I don't think he's had much time because Connor Hall has been right there. What's up, James?
A lot of action here down on the far end, the entry of pit road. A little bit of work on Jessica Cahn's machine. She was involved in the most recent incident, but fixing cosmetic damage just behind her. Chase Burrow in that 00 getting an air pressure adjustment on his car. And then Peyton Celestine continuing to go to work. I saw them change the right front tire, at least pull it off the wheel well and try and work on that damage. It's that right front corner that has the most significant piece of the damage that he picked up in that incident earlier. So just continued repairs for one of the most decorated drivers in the history of this race and of the Virginia Triple Crown, trying to get this car back into a racier condition.
A+ again, James. We thank you for that. Best of luck to Jessica Cahn as they work on it. Blake, I know you got something on your mind. Go ahead.
Again, I think that's a big move for Chase Burrow because, again, we're going to get another pause at the end of stage 2, 37 laps from now, giving up about I mean, he was running almost up into the top 10, so to come down, make an air pressure adjustment, and kind of use this as a little bit of leeway, a little bit of experimentation, if you will, before that halfway break to come up, that tells me they think they have a car that is that's so close. It's maybe just one little adjustment away from getting up into the top 5 or so. But it's a big gamble because you're losing a ton of track position in doing this.
I love the stats that back up what we were just talking about. I was speaking to Matt Waltz's experience. It's start number 7 in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Start number 24 in the Virginia Triple Crown. So not just experience here. And we are talking about the Triple Crown a lot, of course. This is the first race in the 3-race series and some extra juice this year thanks to Flow Racing. Matt Waltz, he could really make that experience pay, Scott, and I mean pay in big capital letters.
Well, and he's run all the 24 races, and he has yet to be able to win.
Right.
And he's proven. I mean, if you would have said you never knew if he ran all those races, you'd have said he'd have won at least 4 or 5, maybe.
Yes.
And
3 top 5s. Not
there
to
we
cut
go.
you off, but it's
yeah,
3
yeah.
top 5s in those 24 Virginia Triple Crown starts. We'll say 23 up to this point.
And it's one of those things you talk about getting over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like Matt Walsh, that's all he needs. He needs to get over the hump. But you could say it. He is an absolute ace at Langley. Before 2025, he's got 18 career wins. And I think he should have a lot more by how he's ran over there all of these years. And so if he gets the win here, you got to think he can go over to Langley. He could absolutely take the win there. He's even more of a fighter he is there than here.
Connor Hall has made 16 Triple Crown starts. There's 2 victories in there, including last year in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. He may not have quite the experience that Matt Waltz has, but Connor Hall has as much or more talent than anybody in auto racing today.
Again, a 2-time national champion, the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series. Knew that he was going to be very, very strong paired up with Junior Motorsports. Has had some great race cars in the past. Chad Bryant Racing, Nelson Motorsports, where he was able to win this race 1 year ago. But again, give him track position, you give him a really good car. He's somebody that is so smart at being able to manage these races, manage these situations. Wouldn't worry at all if you're a Connor Hall fan with the fact that he's just been in second position because he's up there and he's given himself a chance and can't imagine that he won't be a factor at the end of this thing if he can keep his nose clean.
You know, and let's look back. Let's look back towards the end of the top 10. Buddy Isles Jr., Landon Pimbleton, Ryan Millington, and Brandon Pierce. All 4 of them have been on the move, and they've looked to have shown speed early in this race. The real question is for them, can they get over the hump and break into the top 5?
I think you're right. I think if you get into that top 5, that will build a lot of confidence. And let's just point out another simple fact. You keep more cars in your rear view, that's less of a chance you're going to get involved into an altercation. So that move to the top 5 would be huge. I think any of those guys sitting 6 through 10 right now are candidates to do that. I like Deke McCaskill as a candidate to break into the top 10. We know his experience in this race. We know he is comfortable running that higher line. He may have to do it tonight. We are ready to roll again here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. It's Connor Hall, Matt Maltz up front, showing the way with 67 in the books.
I swear every restart, Brandon Pierce is almost hitting the entry to the pit wall out of turn 2. He's getting so low through the corner. There's a couple of drivers that have followed him, but he's been willing to go all the way down there for those, especially these restarts, as Matt Waltz running very high, almost gave the wall a kiss off of turn 2.
And Tate Fogelman is making a bid to get up there with the leaders. This could turn into a three-way dance up front, as Matt Waltz might have just missed the shape slightly. Connor Hall not going anywhere, but Tate Fogelman is coming hot on their heels, and the action further back has never been better, guys.
Yeah, Fogelman has so much grip, but it is a tight, packed mess here in the mid-pack. It starts all with a flying 11, Buddy Isles Jr. stuck on the inside. The inside line not working for a lot of drivers.
No, it isn't, and again, that was close there for a couple of moments between Ronnie Bassett Jr. trying to clear up and Doug Barnes Jr., but here we are, battle for the race lead yet again. Again, Matt Waltz, we know the short speed he has just about anywhere he runs. That car is able to fire off really well. But Connor Hall slowly waiting in the wings. And, I mean, again, you mentioned Tate Fogelman is right there as well. Side by side for the race lead in the 1.
Fogelman, another one of those drivers, I think they can roll the bottom. He has so much grip through the center of the corner. He has great speed on the exit. He can get to the gas, I think maybe faster than the 2 leaders. The question is, he's got to go and get by them.
Darren Krantz Jr. is now in the top 5. Brandon Pierce has dropped of the top 10 as Ryan Millington will take over P10. Landon Pembleton in front of him in 9th. They're all chasing your 2 leaders, Matt Waltz and Connor Hall. Waltz showing the way again with 126 laps to go in the Thunder Harley-Davidson 200.
Everyone from 8th on back stacked up behind Buddy Isles Jr. and Ronnie Bassett Jr. They've been side by side for the last couple of laps. It's 125 laps to go at the stripe for Matt Waltz. A lot of racing yet to be done. 5/8 of this race still to come.
And again, you look at Matt Waltz, he is leading this race. But again, you can see where that car is running. You can see the little bit of damage, which obviously is not affecting that race car. Just a little bit of damage on the bodywork from that initial contact that he had with Justin Hicks. But again, you can see how close he's getting to the wall off of turn 2, using every bit of that racetrack. Meanwhile, Connor Hall, who's just riding right behind him, smooth and steady she goes. And again, I don't know of anybody who could have a little bit of a smoother riding style than somebody that has turned as many laps at Langley Speedway as he has. Right side of your screen, there's that battle we're talking about. Brandon Pierce kind of trapped on the bottom, got back by Ryan Millington, now trying to get by the 0 of Landon Pembleton. This battle for second shaping up on the left side.
Brandon Pierce has done it. That's in by the stripe. Brandon Pierce is given credit for 9th position. So good work by Brandon Pierce. Go back to that style for Connor Hall. He makes it look so easy, doesn't it? Another guy with great balance. You know, he made this statement, I'm happier on a boat than I am in a race car. Man, I'd love to see him in one of those boats because, man, he always seems pretty doggone happy when he's behind the wheel.
A driver behind this battle right here is Daniel Silvestri. He is on an island all on his lonesome. It's 2 seconds ahead to Fogelman, and it's 3.6 seconds back to Darren Krantz Jr., who's now in a battle with the 88 of Doug Barnes Jr. Silvestri, I'd say he's maybe in one of the best positions, being able to conserve his stuff the best of anyone.
Well, again, Fogelman, again, he's able to run solo. We talk about how wide of a racetrack this is. Just look at Tate Fogelman right here. I mean, he's got all, I mean, his right side tires underneath that yellow line. That is as low as it can go here at South Boston Speedway. And again, that's the call right in front of him, riding right where that apron would be. You see a little bit of smoke out of Landon Pembleton. And how about that car on the right-hand side of your screen? Moving by Ryan Millington. We talked about him being involved in that earlier incident. We know he can drive even if he doesn't have a door on the right side of his race car like earlier in the year. Landon Huffman on the march, almost into the top 10. at the end of stage 2. That's incredible.
And it was a big hit with Andrew Grady. And so you got to say you might be a little bit surprised that they were able to get all that fixed, or the damage was not as severe as it had seemed. But that Trash Pandas 57 is on the move. And Ryan Milligan was that driver who we talked about, was early on the move. It seems he's stalled out here right in the top 10.
Zero quit for Landon Huffman. That's been a trait throughout his career. He's got that on display. Looks like he's got some speed on display tonight as well. Keep your eyes on Landon Huffman, but work your way through the rest of the field, guys. Who else is standing out? Is that top 5's been pretty static for right now. Not much moving in the last few laps. A little bit at the back end of the top end of the top 10. Go ahead, Scott.
Bobby McGee up 11 spots.
Love it.
Started back, actually he's up 13. It started in 28th. He is all the way up into 15th, right behind Landon Hamilton. So he is slowly working his way up, slow and methodical. Again, we got proof that you can go from the back to the front last year. He's one guy I'm absolutely looking at. This fight in the mid-pack is amazing.
Jonathan Schaefer in the top 10, Blake. That's noteworthy.
Yeah, it is. You can see him right behind this battle. And Parker Eatman, again, we talked so much throughout practice all day long about how strong, how consistent, how smooth the Hettinger Racing 71 and 5, the two teammates of Parker Eatman and Jonathan Schaefer, how good they looked all weekend long. Yet they both went out in qualifying, missed it a little bit. But again, watching Hettinger Racing over the last couple of races, they tend to run in tandem. If one of their cars is working good, both of them are usually working really good. And right now you can see that with the two youngsters, Parker Eatman and Jonathan Schaefer, doing a tremendous job driving up through this field up to top 10.
Eatman sitting in 7th, right behind Doug Barnes Jr. He's up 18 spots. He started in 25th, and we're not even at the halfway mark, which, speaking of that, will be in 9 laps, and these drivers will get a chance to adjust.
You will make some adjustments. We'll talk about what those adjustments can and can't be here once we reach that halfway home hotel. And I think some of these guys that are making big moves, it's a byproduct of this long green flag run. We've talked about that. Some cars are just going to be better in the long run. We didn't have any early, but now we've actually gotten to race. We've gotten to race some really good green flag laps. You're seeing some of the cars that are built for that.
The top 4 all on their own, over 5 seconds in front, and now 6.5 seconds ahead of Darren Krantz Jr. These top 4 are on an island of their own.
They are, and in fact, there's a change. Thought there was a change for the second position. That was Connor Hall going around some lap traffic. That is Jeff Sparks, who, if he can hang on for another 6 laps or so before Matt Waltz is able to get into any more traffic, he would be the recipient of that free pass once we get to lap 100.
Trevor Ward back on the lead lap. He's up to 21st. He's battling with Camden Gully back there trying to work his way forward, but man, Matt Waltz, he is really impressing. He almost a second ahead of Connor Hall, and he's looking to now make $750 from Sparks Oil and Sunoco here at the halfway mark.
Halfway bonus be coming for Matt Waltz. And in your camera shots here, you're seeing less and less cars around Matt Waltz because he is getting distance. He is getting separation from Connor Hall and the rest of the field. Right now, the deuce is loose. Number 2, Matt Waltz, is in control as we close in on the halfway break.
And I think it's huge. And look at the right-hand side of the screen. Landon Huffman is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, along with Matt Waltz. And that's despite the fact that all those 3 cars he's passed in the last 2 or 3 laps, that car is rotating something fierce on the bottom right now, because he's just able to get that car to stick down there and drive away. I think he'd be contending right now with the laps that Matt Waltz is running if traffic was in the way.
Waltz and Hall keep going back and forth in lap times, but you can say those top 4 are really, truly on their own. Last time by Hall, Fogelman, and Silvestri, all the same lap time, a 16.18. Checkered flag, stage number 2. It's Matt Waltz picking it up at halfway mark. He's led every lap from the drop of the green flag. He's $750 richer now, thanks to Sparks Oil and Sunoco.
What a drive from Matt Waltz right now. Job is not done. Job is not nearly done. He's going to have to clock back in after they make some adjustments. But any way you look at it, you have got to give full credit right now for Matt Waltz and what he has done in the first half of this race and in qualifying as well. He was your pole sitter. He was your Anderson Outdoor Solutions Pole Award winner. We are seeing why. I mean, we are seeing why. I've got to say, he's got the best car right now, guys.
Well, and again, when you look forward to this Triple Crown and what it takes to win all of these 3 races, if there was one track that I think Matt Waltz would have had circled, it would have been the Hampton Heat. It would have been Larry King Law's Langley Speedway, where we know he's been strong for so long of his racing career. This would have been the race that if he could get a decent finish, you look forward to Langley and then perhaps Martinsville and being able to challenge for this Triple Crown. But the fact that he has dominated the early portion of this race says a lot about this race team. And if he can run this well here, I tell you what, he could go into Langley and really make some noise and try to set that average finish up for a great spot in the Valley Star Credit Union 300.
That's why you got to think he is one of the biggest threats at this moment. If he can stay where he is, even if he doesn't get the win, he finishes up in the top 5, you got to think he's a big threat because, like we've said, he's one of those drivers that we know is so good at Langley Speedway, and you got to imagine that a lot of that knowledge from here and there will transfer over into Martinsville. And again, Blake, new to this year, you win either the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 or the Hampton Heat, you are locked into the Valley Star Credit Union 300 on September 27th to fight for the Virginia Triple Crown Championship.
Matt Waltz has got great experience at Martinsville. You mentioned that. 7 starts in the Valley Star Credit Union 300, just 1 top 10, so maybe I should go back. Maybe it's not great experience. He has experience. He'll be looking for more this year. Another note, this is Matt Waltz's 7th start in the 200 here at South Boston Speedway. Only 1 top 5. That came 10 years ago in 2015. Right now, he is looking very much better than that. Matt Waltz is your halfway leader, and we're going to get, I think, one of the great moments in motorsports here, as when the teams come in and the work begins, James Pike is just going to be like a furious, uncaged animal. He's going to be going everywhere to get all the stories, and he's going to be talking to some exhausted drivers. And sometimes drivers decline because they want to focus and try to catch their breath, but James Pike is going to have it surrounded down there. Can I talk about halfway adjustments, guys? It's 2 fresh tires. 2 fresh tires. You take on fuel. You can make track bar adjustments, packers in or out, spring rubber in or out. And you can fix damaged parts with approval from the race officials.
And again, there will be several drivers that can take advantage of that to make some repairs. They wouldn't do it under green or under a regular caution because they'd lose too much time. But Daniel Silvestri is probably one of the most notable. Again, just a little bit of hood damage. You just got to knock it down, tape it up. It'll be fine. Not affecting the ill handling of that race car at all. But again, we talked about it throughout the last couple of days. The last couple of minutes when these drivers have been communicating with their crews, this is when the men separate themselves from the boys. How that veteran experience pays off to be able to tell your crew, this is exactly what I need, and to be able to predict how this track is going to change. This is where a big difference in this race will be made.
Yeah, the best teams are going to give and receive that information very efficiently, very appropriately. And Scott, I think really, we talk about communicators, what we're supposed to be doing. Sometimes those great race drivers are great communicators too, and the crew chiefs too. They're going to say, we're going to do A, B, and C, and that's final. Or we're going to do A and B. What do you think about option C? Those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. You talked about that damage, Blake, and some people, you know, they wouldn't fix that under green. First person I think of is Peyton Sellers. He's 31 laps down, got some damage to fix. But again, you have to maximize your finish, even if you're at this stage, even if you're 31 laps down, sitting in 31st. You never know. One final spot, one final point could decide the champion. You never know what the top 10 in this at the end of this race, what'll happen at Hampton.
Well, again, we saw so much in the opening 100 laps. Can't imagine what we're going to see later, and so many of the names that are starting to rise up to the top with fast race cars. Parker Eatman, he got up into the top 5. Landon Huffman was able to get up into 9th. Jonathan Schaefer, we talked about him. He's up into 12th. Bobby McCarty. Again, we talk about veteran experience. I think if there's one driver up here that can take a car that is good and make it great and start to challenge for this race win, he's got a clean piece right now. It's that 6 of Bobby McCarty.
Totally agree with that. Bobby McCarty, 2 wins in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. They've come in the last 4 years. He's won 2 out of the last 4.
There you go. There's the green flag.
There we go. I love it. I love it. It's just a cavalcade of activity out there, and it's great to watch. Let me give you another thought about Bobby McCarty here. In 10 starts, 5 top 5s. And how about the podium rate's pretty darn good, too, at 30%. He's made the top 3, including those 2 race wins. 3 times, those kinds of things, those numbers are, again, always very impressive to me, and it backs up just what you were saying, Blake.
You know, a driver I'm looking at and thinking about is, I'm back to Hettinger Racing, Parker Eatman, up now 20 spots. Last time we looked at him, he was in 7th. He got past Ronnie Bassett Jr. and Darren Krantz Jr. up to 5th. When you race for a team like Hettinger Racing, you've got to prove your worth. You've got to prove why you are there. That deal was done just over a month ago. He was racing with his own team, family-owned team. He got this opportunity to race with Hettinger Racing, and he's really going out there and proving that. He's had some Cars Tour starts, and they've been all right. But here, he's really proving something out here outright. He's the 2024 Thanksgiving Classic winner. He's really been on the uptick the last 8 months.
I know we talked about a lot of good drivers who want to make their car. They're up front right now. They want to make their car just that little bit better. There's a lot of guys who I think want to take a big swing at it. Some drivers that fell back through the field, like a Carson Lofton who found himself in the 18th position, or Cade Brown, somebody who, despite some of the attrition we've seen, he's missed all of it, just doesn't have the race car, I think, right now to go up and challenge. What are the swings that they can take on their race cars? Because they have just as much of a chance as any. They might as well throw the kitchen sink at it at this point.
We'll talk about big swings in just a moment, but we'll send it down to a big baseball guy who can hit a home run. Taking a seat right now, James Pike.
I get the opportunity to take a little bit of a break, as the drivers do as well, and I'm joined by Hettinger Racing's Parker Eatman. Parker, you looked at me and you just said, I think a good conversation will get me going a little bit. So has 100 laps of racing at Sobo and the Triple Crown maybe been a little bit easier than you thought almost?
No, I mean, it's definitely hot out here, but, you know, Hettinger Racing brought me a really great car. I mean, we worked on our race car, so that's why we didn't qualify the best, but we're sitting 5th right now, and I think we'll have a go at them with the last 100 laps left.
So the race pace has been really, really good. You've been able to drive up through the field. What's worked for this car in the first half of this?
I mean, all of it, really. I rolled the top there good about the first 25 laps, and I moved back down to the apron there in 3 and 4. So it's working really good right now. The 71 Chevrolet Vet Adventure Southern Make is it's really good right now. So I'm hoping to get back out there and get after it.
Do you feel like you're going to need a lot of changes in the second half of this, or maybe do you feel like it's maybe a blessing to you that we did start under dark conditions and that transition that we normally see under temps? Is it going to be as drastic this year?
I mean, I need a little bit more, not much. Obviously, we drove up through the field pretty easily right there, so not a lot this last 100, but just a little bit more will be up there.
Little bit more, and I believe this is just my chicken scratch math. I don't know if he is currently the hard charger as it stands, but I know that he's close to it. Parker Eatman with a good run in the first half of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Our math up here confirms what you just said, James. We think you're right about the biggest mover right now, Parker Eatman. Thoughtful guy there, Blake. I love all of our drivers are intelligent and smart. Sometimes when you hear an interview like that, stands out. I mean, that's a key young man right there.
It is, and again, I think Parker Eatman saying what's on everybody's mind of these drivers right now, that yes, it is the summer, and despite the fact that the sun has gone down, it is warm, and that is one thing that makes the Triple Crown such a unique challenge. Obviously, you go to the Hampton Heat, it's a totally different ball game with all of the humidity and everything, but this is when the physical aspect of it comes in. I think for some of these drivers, I mean, I feel like getting a break can sometimes be worse because you get to think about it. You get to relax. You get to get out of the car. You get a little bit of water, and then you have to get back into it, get back into the sauna. And, again, the cooling in these late-model stock cars, not exactly what they are at the top level of NASCAR now.
We've been talking about the mind a lot. I'm glad you mentioned the body. It is a physical test, and the best racers understand that aspect as well. We talked about with the hydration. The best have a hydration plan. They're starting that a week in advance. They're not just saying, let me grab an extra Gatorade as we roll up to the track. There is a defined plan down there. Here's a driver that always has a good plan when he shows up to the racetrack. James Pike is ready with Connor Hall.
It's a bit of a different adventure for Connor this year, not having to go last to first this time. This time around, he's been top 3 pretty much all race. So how was the first half of it? How's the car?
It's obviously been a little wild. I didn't expect to, kind of go under that many yellows. And I think our car is really good. I think the 2 cars are really good. There's a couple other cars that are probably really good, but I think it's going to be a heck of a race coming down to the end, and hopefully we can make ours about 5% better and figure out a way to get around Matt.
I was about to ask you if you feel like you're missing anything. Physically, how are you doing? Enough fluids? Do you feel okay?
I just ran to the bathroom and back. I'm feeling good.
Is that maybe a unique perk of this? And you can make jokes of it, but just the ability to take a really hard reset that you don't get in a lot of late model races like this. Does that make it maybe a little bit easier? Or is it something that you can sort of bake in and manage?
I'd rather just go 200 laps other than the fact I like to have a chance to work on it. So, I'm kind of impartial. Straight 200 with a break, it'd all be good. I like the pit stop opportunity for all of us to be able to adjust, because that's something that you don't see a lot in late model stock car racing.
How much do you think it's going to be about finding the 5% here in these next few minutes, and how much of it do you think is going to be decided on the track when we get down to it?
Well, it's obviously going to be decided on the track, but I don't know. It might only need to be 1% better. Somebody else might make a bad adjustment. So I was luckily on the benefiting side of an adjustment last year, and hopefully that's the case this year.
I think the general point, and Connor makes a good one, that he's got a fast car, but there are a lot of other drivers here in the top 5 that have good cars too, and it might just be a mixture of a good setup and luck and just being able to race. Usually it's a mixture of all 3 that gets it done in this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Connor Hall talked about making moves on the track. It's going to come on the track, the moves that are being made. And you got to wonder, when does that come? How does it come? Because we've seen him. He's tried the inside on Waltz many times, and he has not been able to get it done. What do they work on in the car right now to be able to make that change, to make that pass by? Because Waltz continues to defend the high side, and up for the first 100 laps, Hall has not been able to find a way on that high side.
Good back and forth there with Connor and James, because another thoughtful driver. I loved how he said, well, it's going to be decided on the track. James was kind of hitting at that change, adjustment aspect. Want to go back to that home run term, big swing. Remember, the term is we're going to make a big swing. Remember how that relates to the baseball context. In baseball, a big swing can produce a home run, a great result. It can also produce a swing and a miss or a strikeout. That's kind of what Connor mentioned there. Sometimes you don't always make the right adjustment. Some of these teams might make a bad adjustment. Scott, you and I always love the phrase, setup, always a compromise. Same way, adjustments are always going to be a compromise too.
Well, and that's the thing. When you're running in the top 5 and having a good run all the way from Parker Eatman, Daniel Silvestri, Tate Fogelman, Connor Hall, and of course Matt Waltz, you really sometimes you don't want to change anything, but the field and the competition behind you will.
Yeah.
And you have to try to improve.
Feel compelled to change something.
Your car will never be perfect.
Yes.
As a driver, there's always going to be something this could be a little bit. I could be a little bit better on entry. I could feel a little bit more stable. I need more rotation through the center. I'm way loose off. You got to tighten me up. There's always going to be something. You cannot stay stagnant.
Yeah, Blake, your thoughts on that? I mean, kind of what Scott said. You want to make a change. Sometimes you have to resist that urge. We'll get Blake's thoughts on that in just a second, because James is ready downstairs once again.
So Matt Waltz has managed to get in, and he's getting his Sparks Oil Sunoco halfway leader bonus, $500 to the man who has paced most of this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, getting his opportunity to get his photos and get his smile up there. Matt, what did you do during this break? How did you manage it over the 10 minutes?
We put some tires on it and, just working on the car a little bit. Car was really good in the first half, and being able to wrap the bottom there. So, hopefully we made enough adjustment for the putting right side tires on it, and we'll be good here for the second half. But, I got to thank all these guys busting their butts, and Waltz Engineered Sales, Waltz Water, Davcon, Chevrolet. It's been awesome so far, so hopefully we can wrap this thing up here in about 100 laps.
Blakey took advantage of all of the 10 minutes to get his break in. He might be one of the most refreshed drivers ready to go for the second half of this first leg of the Virginia Triple Crown.
Just a couple of moments for these drivers to collect themselves, get their last little bit of hydration before, like Matt Waltz, they have to climb back behind the wheel of their 3,500-pound late model stock cars. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, I'm Blake Stallings, driver number 77, late model stock car. You're watching Sobo on Play.
best brag, the biggest flex is to say you saw it on Flow Racing, and you are seeing a good one right here. We saw Blake Stallings bringing us back from the break. Guys, we haven't mentioned Blake Stallings a whole lot. You know, we've been talking about big movers. Hasn't made much of a big move. Started 19th. Looks like Blake Stallings P17 right now. Again, one of those quality race teams with R&S. Wouldn't be shocked if they made the right adjustment there at the stage break. What do you guys think of Blake Stallings' potential chances? And we should also mention Cade Brown in that conversation, too.
Yeah, I was going to say some of those drivers that, again, we would expect to be at the front of the field with R&S, with Nelson Motorsports, a couple of those drivers. I think those are the ones that they got to think a little bit outside the box here. You're thinking about making a big swing to try to get yourself, again, 17th, 18th, 19th, you get that car dialed in. We've seen some big movers throughout the opening 100 laps, certainly capable of doing it, but they're going to have to take a big swing to be able to do it.
Well, it's been a slower year for Blake Stallings here this year in 2025 at South Boston. And saying slow, he's got 7 top 5s and 10 top 10s in all 10 of his starts in the regular championship. But he's been so close to a win and has not been able to do that. When you stack up this field, it's just seemed he's been a mid-pack driver. And so you got to wonder what changes did they make to try to move up in that mid-pack.
Changes, go back to that in just a second. I want to mention Cade Brown also driving the R&S Race Cars House Car entry. Looks like Cade Brown is currently running 19th right now. He was top 5 on debut last year, so Cade Brown maybe just not quite getting what he needs from his piece tonight, but we'll see. A lot to go. Back to those adjustments. I mean, we can't sum this up in a lifetime. That's how complicated adjustments are. But Blake, I mean, just maybe some thoughts, if it's specifically about Blake Stallings or maybe somebody else. I mean, get into the technical side a little bit. What can somebody like that do? I know you haven't been watching him run all night, but give us one or two thoughts about what could a guy like Blake Stallings adjust?
Well, I think you were kind of mentioning it earlier. There's air pressure adjustments. They can change the packer, which kind of messes with the ride heights and everything of these race cars, depending on what they have. So tons of adjustments. Obviously, they can change track bar and everything that can adjust the handling for this car. I know you were talking about a 77 in Blake Stallings. One guy that's kind of flown under the radar, I think, is another 77 in Derek Krantz Jr. right now, who runs 6th. And what an amazing shot off the back of the Danville Toyota pace car right here. The field's going to double up. We'll once again see Matt Waltz and Connor Hall side by side. But Darren Krantz Jr., again, he's been hanging around the top 5 all night long.
Mitch Gerhardt does it all, takes the risk and gets us these beautiful, beautiful shots of this front row. But you mentioned Darren Krantz Jr. He has been 3rd in his 2 races here that he was able to finish on the lead lap early in the season. And he's been one that has been really good to contend in the Centera Health late model division. But out here, this is a whole different animal we talked about. He's only made 75 lap races. This 200, obviously, in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. But through that first 100, he was able to solidly stay in the top 6.
This is a different animal. This is an untamable beast, but the guy that comes close to taming it tends to be the winner. Somebody like Matt Waltz is showing that, yeah, he's like a big game hunter. He's capable of taking down those big, scary beasts. We know Connor Hall is the same way. That is a great twosome that's going to lead us off here in just a moment, gentlemen. It looks like on the choose there, Darren Krantz maybe dropped back because he wanted a preferred line. You know, at this time now, in the second half of the race, boy, that choose inside or outside on the restarts really becomes even more important, doesn't it?
It looks like the lane just really has not moved. The preferred lane has been that middle line, and that's why I think it's so important that you have to have a car that can get through on the bottom. Because the driver's going to be running that middle line all day long.
To make the pass?
Yes.
You mean?
It's so difficult to be able to get to the high side because that's where you want to be to make the pass. You can pinch down the driver on the inside, but the same can be done when you're trying to pass on the inside.
If you've watched racing at Tri-County Speedway, and again, I'm not trying to akin a racetrack like that to this one, but it's very similar in that I think that that's what you have to do to be able to make those passes. And somebody like Landon Huffman, again, he has a lot of experience at Tri-County. He won a Cars Tour race because of how good he was on the bottom of the racetrack, and he's putting that to practice here tonight. But again, I know we say the middle of the top, it's been preferred. It can be difficult to make those passes on the bottom, but I think myself as well as a lot of drivers that we talked to yesterday would be surprised at how well that bottom works. All we heard from pretty much anybody I talked to, it said track's going to rubber up, it's going to cool down, it's going to move to the high side. That opening stint of the race, a ton of drivers, Parker Eatman, Landon Huffman, several were able to, Brandon Pierce made the bottom side of the racetrack work very, very well.
Yeah, and different degrees to that bottom groove, right? Sometimes it's 2 tires on the yellow line. Sometimes it's straddling it, hooking it, and then sometimes it's all 4 on the apron. And we should point out that when you go down to the apron, you do lose some of the banking, but not all. As Scott Shive and I found out in our early season fact-finding mission when we put the degree tool down there just to find out there is still some banking on the bottom groove. Now, one concept that Brandon Pierce and I actually talked about last year on the Cars Tour race, guys, was the danger, one of the dangers in going that low is you have to climb the hill back up the slope when you come out of turn 2 and turn 4 when you do go super low.
Well, and you lose so much momentum doing that.
Yeah.
That's why the high line, one of the reasons that it is the best line to be in. You can gain so much momentum down the straightaway to hold off your competitor.
Yeah, use gravity as an aid, not fighting against gravity going back up the slope there. And it, you know, maybe a smaller factor, maybe it could be the primary factor in a race like this. The fans are rising to their feet again. Stage 2 is about to get underway in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Here comes the great sound in motorsports. These cars have bark and bite, and it's on full display at South Boston Speedway.
They roar, they rumble out of turn 2. It's side by side once again for the lead. Connor Hall talked about it's going to happen on track. He's got to make changes. He did make changes. Now, how will those changes affect his race car? Fighting to the inside of Waltz. Waltz high on the high side, able to carry that momentum. 3 wide in the backfield, but Waltz able to hold down Hall.
Oh, and Fogelman's going to look to the bottom. They were almost 3 wide there for a moment, but he's been rolling the bottom side of the racetrack on all of these restarts, looking to try to get clear of Hall. Here comes Silvestri. He'll peek 3 wide down the backstretch, but he thinks better of it.
What a battle and what a run from Tate Fogelman. He's trying to slingshot right by Connor Hall. Connor Hall's not going to make it that easy for him, but Tate Fogelman is saying, come on, Connor, let's dance, let's race a little bit, and then let's see if one of us can take down Matt Waltz for that race lead.
You got to sort this out or Waltz is going to get away. You can't stay side by side like this for that long. Only one more guaranteed break at lap 150, and then it's all for the taking. Looks like Connor Hall able to defend on the high side. Fogelman, although he wraps well on the low side, doesn't have enough grip to get off the corner.
See a little bit sideways there on the exit of the corner like you were just talking about. Buddy Isles Jr., he's able to put his flying number 11. He's flying around the high side right now. Up into 7th is Buddy Isles Jr. What a great run he's having.
3 wide, back in the mid-pack. A battle for 10th. Landon Huffman,
there it is.
McCaskill, they're all right there. That's Buddy Isles Jr., Ryan Bassett Jr., all the juniors, and Ryan Millington. Millington able to take it on the high side back to a 2-wide situation. So what did Millington change? He leveled out about the top 10 within the first 100 laps. What did they change to get out there and maybe continue to move forward?
A lot of juniors, and another one to not forget about is Darren Krantz Jr. in the 77s. Back to the adjustments, and what did they change? Guys, how quickly do you know? Because I think sometimes you know immediately as you fire up on that first green flag. I think other times after the adjustments, it might take 15, 20, 30 laps before you know and or can trust the adjustment.
It's a good point there. Sometimes you just have to feel it out. I think one car that feels really good about the adjustments they made, Buddy Isles Jr. I think Landon Huffman, again, his father, Robert, trying to clear him from Ronnie Bassett Jr. there in the 0-4, just has not been able to do it. And again, it's so hard to know what to look at here because Tate Fogelman hasn't let Connor Hall get out of his sights. And I would say Hall is still close enough there to Matt Waltz to be able to mount a charge if he can. But Fogelman and Hall right now just showing you why South Boston is so great yet so difficult for these drivers, because Fogelman running an entirely different line right now than Connor Hall, and they're both pretty much locked running nearly the same exact lap times.
You have to try something different than the car in front of you. You cannot just follow in their tracks. You've got to change it up. Fogelman putting the bumper to Connor Hall, trying to move him aside. Cannot do it. That momentum on the top side is too grand.
It's still a battle, though. Tate Fogelman is not going away. Tate Fogelman is not going away. Back to those decisions. How much do you fight for that spot? It's currently P2. It's worth fighting for right here, especially with 88 laps remaining in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Now it's 87 as Matt Waltz comes across the stripe one more time as your race leader. Just a quick hit on something I was thinking about. Think about this experience for a spotter, guys. We've talked about almost every aspect of the race. This has got to be an extremely high blood pressure experience for a spotter. And there you go. There's the high blood pressure. He's on fire. Landon Pembleton is on fire coming out of turn 4. The fire is gone now, thankfully. But, man, what a catastrophe for Landon Pembleton. Our race officials are going to get to him quickly. He's out of the car quickly. The car is still rolling while Landon Pembleton gets out.
You saw that car ignite into flames. You saw the fire suppression system burst into action, and that car being extinguished, and Pembleton able to get out quickly. Glad to see him get out of the car very quickly. That was a bright, big fireball.
Scary, Blake. Scary.
Yeah, and again, hats off to the track crew because he basically nosed that thing into the wall, and immediately they were there to extinguish that fire. Scary situation, but glad to see Landon Pembleton climb out. The fans here will give him an ovation as he's able to get out a scary situation as he had fallen back to about 25th or 26th. But again, just heartbreak for him. Again, 2 races he's run with this car that he has felt so good, so confident in, and neither one has ended the way that he would have liked.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't even know that we need to add anything to that.
No.
That visual tells an entire story. What a scary moment for Landon Pembleton. So glad to see him walk away.
There's a lot of sparks on the ground, too. Looks like something's right. I know. Fire suppression system able to kick in. Undoing the belts, getting everything off there. Pembleton getting out of the car.
I like this fan right here urging Landon Pembleton to get out quickly. I know we were all doing that, but I like the gestures there, and that's part of what our fans are all about. They want to see healthy race car drivers. They want to see great racing. They've gotten it tonight. We've had a little bit of everything. We have had collisions, catastrophes, and some great racing in between. It's time to catch our breath. The finale is right around the corner. We've still got 85 to go here, fans. We've still got 85 laps remaining in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. It's coming to you from South Boston Speedway, Sobo on Flow.
Hi, this is Jason Myers. You're watching Sobo on Flow.
Tough racing tonight in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. We've had some really good skillful racing as well, some nose to tail, some side-by-side. We have had some hard hits, and we've had a fireball now, guys. Let's unpack that a little bit more. For one, there's a reason why the drivers wear that fire suit. Gets to be really hot and uncomfortable on days like today. But, Blake, a good reason for having that right there was what we just saw with Landon Pembleton.
Yeah, and very important, and glad to see him climb out of that race car. And again, the speed of which these guys are able to do it. Again, you have so many responsibilities as a driver when you're in that situation, having to unlatch your belts, which, again, these drivers are in a situation, they pretty much just have to pull one thing, and it'll take all your belts off. Getting the window net down, probably unhooking a radio to your helmet. And even then, again, he was so ready to get out of there.
Climbing out while it was moving.
Well, it didn't put the car in gear. You know, that's one of those things that, again, you're looking to get out, and he did a tremendous job doing that.
You know, and you got to think about what caused that, the expiration of the engine. You go inside the engine, the pistons and the rods. Rods can shoot right down through the camshaft, break into the oil pan, and spill that oil, because that's why we see big fires like that. Sometimes some of those fluids get ignited, and one of those is that oil, sticky, long-burning substance. Fuel would just burn off very quickly, but oil is one of those that's going to stick. So you got to imagine you might have thrown a rod or something with a camshaft that punctured through into the oil pan at the bottom of the engine and spilt that onto the racetrack and ignited some of those big flames.
I was trying to pick your brain on that during the timeout. I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. Of course, we may never know, but do you guys know maybe what caused it? I didn't see him hit the wall. Did you, Blake?
It's hard to tell. I mean, speculation at that point. It was going into turn number 3. I think the assessment that Scott offered may be accurate, but it's definitely hard to say. But regardless, great to see him climb out of the race car. Also seeing a lot of folks that are here on the backstretch right now as these cars are sitting. And again, this is a difficult spot to be in for these drivers because, again, we know it's hot in the race car. They got the chance to climb out, but they're still cooking in there.
Yeah.
Even when they're sitting, they're stopped, and there's no airflow, anything like that when these cars are off. So even when they're under red flag, I mean, it's still very, very hot in these race cars, and that's why you see different crew guys coming out with fans, some of them bringing some more water to their drivers because, again, it is very, very hot in there.
Well, and that's one of the ambient temperature, 77 degrees, but in the cars with the engine running hot and everything of that nature, even as they have been sitting on the backstretch, probably a little bit over 100 degrees just sitting there in the racetrack, and there's no wind coming through the window. Sometimes when you're driving, you might stick your hand out, get a little fresh air on the arm, something like that. You're in dead air right now. It's humid outside. We had some storms go through earlier and pass by us, but that humidity still in the air, keeping that air warm, and you're sitting in the race car, sweating. You've been sweating, everything. I mean,
and that's the biggest thing: sitting. When you're behind the wheel of one of these cars and you're busy and your mind is racing, and quite literally, in your racing, it is something to behold. But I believe James Pike has caught up with Landon Pembleton.
I do have Landon Pembleton. You were debriefing there with team owner Marcus Richmond. Between the two of you, do you have any indication of what happened, and what was that like from behind the driver's seat?
Well, the motor started going flat around lap 75, and I've kind of told Marcus and kind of looked it over. When we came in, it stalled and changed the battery. Just nothing helped. It was kind of all of a sudden within 2 laps. It got extremely flat and no indication at all. I just thought the alternator was going bad, but ended up blowing up. And but I can't thank everyone at Arness. We've had some fast race cars these last couple weeks, and we're gonna keep on working at it. This car is mighty fast, so it's gonna be better.
Physically, you're okay.
100%.
A short end to the evening there, but I think in every sense, very sudden, big-time fireball that puts Landon Pembleton out with the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Once again, you see the temperament and the mentality of our drivers. You see another look at that fireball, which incredible in every sense of the word. Not necessarily good incredible, but definitely one of the wilder things you will see. Back to the temperament of a guy like Landon Pembleton. I mean, gave the thumbs up, you know. He's going to be back. He's going to be back. He's not going to let that slow him down. He knows what this deal is about. It's a wild one. He'll move on. He'll probably remember it and, maybe joke about it in years past. Yeah, remember when I had to jump out of that burning car that one time in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200? Well, it's happened tonight. We are bringing it to you live. Sobo on Flow, back in a flash.
I'm Trey Williams, and when you're watching Sobo on Flow,
In a 200-lap race like the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, there is a multitude of storylines and there's a multitude of plot twists. I do want to mention some guys like Trey Williams and Jason Myers. It's been so long ago, fellas. They got knocked out really before we got one official green flag lap. Back to that heartbreak. We had early collision and confrontation on lap number 1. And a few other early cautions. But since then, and maybe slightly predictable, Blake, we've had less incidents. We've had more long green flag runs. I mean, even with Landon Pembleton there, that was just a mechanical failure. There was no crash. There was no collision involved. So my question to you guys, with 85 to go, is there more contact coming, or is this going to be green flag through the stage break anyway, Blake? We do have another stage break at 150.
Well, again, I think any space you're giving these guys, you're only going to get less and less as we get closer to the end of this race. So I think to a degree, you're not going to see as much of that. I think if we get to this stage break right here, again, there's no stop or anything like that, but it's just going to be a stage, and then we're going to keep going through for the final 50 laps. But I think, as the sand in the hourglass starts to run out, those little breaks that you start to cut people, those situations don't start to happen anymore.
It's the JSV, the Jeff Support Vehicle. After this night concludes on July 26th, we'll be back here for Boone Tractor Co. Race Night. And so we've got the Gravely job site vehicle, the Jeff Support Vehicle, as we like to call it.
Thank you to Gravely. Thank you to Boone Tractor. Thank you to Jeff Bomar. Talk about guys that are working hard on race day. Jeff, he deserves to sleep in like all next week. And we are getting a little vacation coming up, fans. We hope you have a fantastic July 4th holiday. Cars are rolling again. I want to go back to what we were talking about, green flag runs, maybe not a lot of cautions. Some of it, guys, I think is a byproduct of the cars being so similar. We've hit on this. There's not a lot of separation between these cars. Yes, I think Matt Waltz has the best, and everything is backed up, my opinion on that. But there's not a lot of separation, so it's hard to pass and get close. We've seen some side-by-side, some nose-to-tail, but not a ton, in particular as the race has moved on a little bit less and less.
Well, and you talked about what more will we see. And I think we've seen a lot out of Hall, Fogelman. They've been right there in the back of each other. And so when it comes down to the close of this race, you're going to make a move. You're going to move the driver in front of you. All three of those drivers know how to do it right and respectively. But that's the thing. That might be how you have to make the pass. You might have to get Waltz so out of the groove that he can't carry that momentum down the straightaway, and you can have the upper hand, drive him up in the next corner, and take the lead.
Well, again, and I think I feel like I've mentioned it about 10 times during this broadcast, the fact that you get a free spot, a free starting spot in the Valley Star Credit Union 300 if you win this race. Because, again, you can, in the past, you could win this race, you could win the Hampton Heat, you could lead every lap of your heat at the Valley Star Credit Union 300. You could blow a tire on the last lap, you're not in the race. I mean, it's that type of race. That's such a big part of playing into this race and the Hampton Heat, is you get that free starting spot in the field. And I think that that's something we talk about, the aggression level. Is that going to pick up, or is that going to change? I think, coming down to the last lap, that's something between 1 and 2 that I think is going to influence how they race each other.
$10,000 to the race winner tonight. We'll do that some as well. And, hey, let's just say it. It's short track racing. You got a front bumper. You have a front bumper. And when this race gets later and later, we will see some drivers try to use that. I think we have so much respect amongst the field. Guys don't want to do that early, and we love that. But again, 10 laps, 5 laps to go, maybe even before then, because you never know, am I going to be close enough to use this front bumper later on? Those things are going through drivers' heads, I imagine, right now.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about that we're closing in towards the end, 83 laps to go when we take the green flag, and you say it, we got to make those moves. Blake, I think you made a great mention. There's a reason we've mentioned all night long about how important the win is, not just in the run of the Triple Crown and getting that average finish, but locking yourself into one of the most prestigious and the most difficult to get into race of the season.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see here with 83 to go. Again, we're back under the caution flag, counting laps here under yellow. We'll stop counting regular caution laps with 10 laps to go. But again, we had extensive cleanup with Landon Pembleton and his engine blowing up. You could see a lot of the speedy dry. You could see some of the smoke there on our shots a couple laps ago. As they continue to pace around, there is a ton of speedy dry that is right at the top lane in turn 4. How does that influence cars that are running well out there? Are you as confident? Are we going to see more cars that maybe choose the inside groove? You can see all that speedy dry down there. And again, the track crew doing a terrific job. They went down and blew a lot of it off, and they'll have some cars kind of run some pace laps in it. They'll try to influence those cars to kind of brush it away a little bit. But does that influence where you're running? Because that's right at the very top end. Again, when we talk about this track widening out, that's at the very tipping point of where this track widens out in turn 4.
It's a fantastic point. You know, how many times do we see collision and confrontation on the exit of turn 4? We've already talked about sometimes if you take that low line, you're going back up the hill. Well, you're going to need all the traction you can get around the entire track, but specifically on exit of 2 and 4. And who negotiates the 0.4 of a mile oval here at South Boston Speedway? Who navigates the challenges? Back to those halfway changes, I'm not sure you've got a full handle on whether the swing you made or the change you made was the right move just yet, because we just didn't get to run quite enough green flag laps after the halfway break.
Yeah, with 11 in the books from halfway point, you might know a little, you might have a hint of an idea, but whatever they changed to work for the next 100 laps. They want it to be in its prime, probably around 25 to go, and really be making those moves. And so I think we'll have to take more time to really figure out who changed what and who made the best changes. We're getting to choose now. You see a lot of back and forth between the high and the low line. Matt Waltz will take the high line yet again. Can't say we're too surprised. Let's see, Tate Fogelman, he takes the bottom. He likes the bottom instead of the top in that third position. That'll give Darren Krantz Jr. the high side in row number 2.
Fun stuff there. I think, you know, we're going to get at least minimum 2 more restarts. This one coming up, and then the 150 lap stage 3 break restart. Another look at cars still working in the pits. Has been a flurry of activity. But let's start thinking about that choose a little bit more. And I go back to Connor Hall last year. He talked about how important that was and how he was making those decisions based on what his ride had and then what the cars around him had. Matt Waltz hasn't made many wrong decisions right now, guys, including his choice of preferred starting lane.
Well, and look at this. Daniel Silvestri in the pit lane. He was running in the top 5. And he is in the pit lane, and we are about to go green. Lights are off on the pace car. A driver that ran 5th all day long for the first 120 laps. Well, he's on pit road and about to go a lap down.
Brutal, man. Rest of the field is still out there. I'd say anybody on the lead lap still has a legitimate chance. Just might need some luck on your side. Danville Toyota, pace car out of the way. Fans on their feet again. It's rip and run time again at South Boston Speedway. Green flag again in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Best start for Connor Hall. He's almost clear. Best start he's had on a restart all day long. Clear to lead. Can Matt Waltz dive to the inside? Crossover into 4. Almost 3 wide with Tate Fogelman. Across the line, it's Connor Hall. Takes the lead away for the first time today. He's on the high side now. How will he defend from Waltz?
He was absolutely getting through the gearbox, Blake. What a fantastic restart for Connor Hall. Let's see if it wins him the race.
You knew it was only a matter of time, and now the onus is going to be on Matt Waltz to try and pull off the move, and going to have to find a way around that number 88 car. Darren Krantz Jr., he's gotten 3rd. Eatman also chose the outside. He lost a spot in doing so, but looks like he may have that 4th spot under control. Meanwhile, Ryan Millington, again, he kind of settled in. He wasn't able to break into the top 10 towards the end of that run. He's made some major ground these last couple of laps. He's almost up into the top 5 as well.
Matt Waltz is not going away quietly, ladies and gentlemen. Expect a hard fight from him. Maybe we were thinking about front bumper usage, chrome horn. Could be time for Matt Waltz to think about that, even though we still have 75 laps to go. We run twin 75s typically here at South Boston Speedway. We've basically still got a full lap remaining. Now 74 is your race leader. Connor Hall takes the back straightaway.
That's 2 shots in the past 2 corners for Matt Waltz. Look at that rotation through the center. You can see that Connor Hall doesn't quite have that rotation speed through the center of the corner, and Matt Waltz right there trying to peek to the high side. Matt Waltz is faster. This has got to be the best defense that Connor Hall has to have.
I mean, that speed through the center of the corner, you can see how deep he's able to dive it in. He almost hit the right rear quarter panel of Connor Hall that last time through turns 1 and 2. You can see he's willing to run a little bit higher, and he's I mean, he's able to get there. I mean, Hall was able to get back clear off the corner, but the fact that Waltz can drive it in that deep in 1 and 2, that's so impressive. Fogelman, he took a couple of laps. Looked like he was going to fall back a little bit. Now he's right back up here with your race leaders. Oh!
6 through 12 has got some great battles. I mean, serious firefights going on back there behind the leaders. Darren Krantz Jr. now back into 4th. Tate Fogelman worked his way into 3rd. Tate Fogelman, I think he's got the groove, fellas. We've been in awe of Connor Hall, but Tate Fogelman's going to insert himself back into the mix. That top 3 right now with a little bit of separation at the moment. See if Darren Krantz Jr. in P4 at the moment can work his way closer.
Well, and you talked about the top 5. Look who's entered the picture. It's Ryan Millington. Continues to work forward. Battle for the lead is still on. We'll keep your eyes right for it. Matt Waltz able to close in so much on entry right through the center, but Connor Hall defending very well.
Doing a great job right now is Matt Waltz, rolling that bottom still. Not making contact with Connor Hall yet. Fogelman, again, he's still on the apron, pretty much running that line down there through that end of the racetrack. Doing a great job, but one thing we saw in that shot just a couple of moments ago from the rest of the field, even cars that aren't double file, they're running the bottom in 3 and 4. That is where a majority of the field has moved to at this end of the racetrack.
Great observation. The groove has, in general, moved lower as the race has gone on. Deke McCaskill's inside the top 10 people. Doug Barnes Jr., Air Doug, not quite taking flight, but don't forget him right now, running at 9th. They're all chasing Connor Hall. This man is a wheel wizard. This man could repeat as the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 champ. And I'll tell you, I had a little exchange with him, asking about, hey, are you superstitious? Do you talk about peating? He kind of gave me the joke. I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little bit stitious. I'd rather not, you throw it in my face here while we're hanging out. But Connor Hall knows what's at stake, knows how to win. He's done it with pressure. He's done it with guys hot on his heels. And right now, those two are Matt Waltz and Tate Fogelman trying to track down your race leader, Connor Hall. 64 laps remaining.
Well, speaking of that pressure, Fogelman still right there, like you said, right on the rear of Waltz. How is that affecting Waltz? How much can he look forward versus in the mirror? Because you got two guys, that is not the meat in the sandwich that you want to be. And of course, look right back behind them. We've got Darren Krantz Jr. holding off Ryan Millington and Parker Eatman. They're stacked up side by side behind them in the top 6. What two beautiful battles.
And again, Tate Fogelman, he's been committed all night long. He has stayed true and steady, but I feel like he's still going to have something to run up towards the top there. You can see Ryan Millington, he's doing a great job of it right now. He's gotten around Parker Eatman for 4th, but this is what we talked about, being versatile, being able to run the top, being able to go to the bottom. Millington looks like he has a car that can do just that. Almost gets the nose chopped off of Darren Krantz Jr., but that is Ryan Millington, number 15, looking for the 4th spot.
What a run from Ryan Millington. What a drive right now. It has been outstanding work in the hot seat for Ryan Millington, and he's not done yet. There's contact. Darren Krantz got slowed down after a little tap from behind from Parker Eatman. Everybody still run true. It's green flag racing, but don't take your eyes off that, because I have a feeling we might see another jab or a full-blown knockout shot coming. Yeah, look at Parker Eatman. Look at Parker Eatman. He does not want Darren Krantz right there. He is thinking about moving DK out of the way.
Still battle for the lead. Matt Waltz still pounding the rear of Connor Hall, trying to get to his rear bumper. Also talking about the St. Darren Jr. Don't forget, he's only 14 years old.
He's very young, and right now, Ryan Millington trying to take him to school. But again, you can see you take that risk to try to make that move. Millington went low. He tried to get around Krantz once. He got a shot. He's not able to get it done. And this is kind of the effect of that, is that Parker Eatman's hanging on his right rear right now. He's not able to get clear to the top. Eatman is still there, but Millington right now, what he feels like he may have a faster car to try to get up to 4th, but you can see sometimes it is very difficult if he can't get enough bite off the corner to get there, and Eatman making it difficult as well.
Yeah, Ryan Millington Millington.
Oh, here
Very
comes
key
Fogelman
last
for
time
second.
around. How about Tate Fogelman right here with a pass of Matt Waltz, but Matt Waltz is going to try to surge by. Let's see if Tate Fogelman, he might be thinking 2 for 1, guys. He might thinking, let me get by Matt Waltz, and then I'll take out Connor Hall in one shot. He'll have to wait, though, as he pulls up door handle to door handle with Matt Waltz on the outside. Both of those two still chasing the 88, Connor Hall.
You could not ask for a better battle for the lead. Drivers that all know what they're doing. Matt Waltz, the older of the bunch. Connor Hall right in the middle. And Tate Fogelman, just a little bit younger, all on the spectrum of age. There we go. Matt Waltz back to the inside, trying yet again, but cannot pull the momentum off of the corner.
And again, 2 to go to the stage. They want control of this last guaranteed restart of this race. Waltz looked to be in a position to do it. Again, you could see the cut that car, or the roll speed rather, that car has through the center of the corner. Fogelman almost got a 2 for 1. They got some lap traffic up the road. Also had Millington. This is an important pass. He gets another spot forward in the choose if he can get by Darren Krantz Jr. with 1 lap to go.
This is as good as it gets right here, ladies and gentlemen. They will cross the flag stand one more time, and there is your stage break. 3 stages in the books. Connor Hall is the stage 3 winner. What a battle, what a sequence of events about the last, we'll say some of the best racing you will ever see in a 30-lap package right there. I mean, what a battle from that previous restart up here to the stage break. 30 of the best laps racing you are ever going to find anywhere.
And it's really tough for Matt Waltz right now because you can't give your full focus towards attacking the 88 of Connor Hall. You know that you got the 8 of Tate Fogelman right behind you. You have to play a mix of offense and defense. You can't go one way or the other. It has to be a mix of both, and you just can't give 100% effort.
Love that. I love that phrasing there, mix of offense and defense. We have got to mix in one final timeout because we might have a 50-lap dash to the finish, to the 10 grand, and to a jewel in the Virginia Triple Crown. You are watching the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Do not miss the conclusion, folks. It's coming up next on Flow Racing.
Welcome back to the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Quick updates before we get going on this final stage of the race from Tate Fogelman's team. They stress to him, try and find a way to get clean air. It will help the car handle through the corners if you can find a space to make it work. On Connor's Hall end, the emphasis from the crew, don't overdrive these final 50 laps. Let everybody else around you make mistakes. You keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be okay. You'll be in position to potentially win back-to-back Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200s, but don't overdrive in these final 50 laps.
Funny you mentioned Tate Fogelman, James. We were just talking about his famous racing father who has won some major big races at South Boston Speedway and some Triple Crown experience. Blake, just a few years ago, he had a great run at Martinsville, right?
Yeah, he finished second in 1992, just a couple of years ago, I guess I could say. Not trying to date anybody out there, but that's before I was born.
Me too.
Yeah, Tate Fogelman, again, comes from a big racing family. He and his father, Jay, work on this car. Pretty much just a family operation here. And again, we talk about small teams trying to take it to the big teams. Fogelman and Millington, 2 of the best examples right now in the top 5 of that.
And let's talk about Tate Fogelman because this guy's won some big races as well. We'll hold that thought and see what he does here as they enter the Empower Broadband restart zone. Waltz, Hall up front, Fogelman, Krantz Jr. chasing trouble. Bobby McCarty's up in the marble. Still green flag here. Green flag. Bobby McCarty's not just in the marbles. He's underpowered. He may have lost power. There's 2 cars over on the back straightaway. They race to the line. There goes the caution lights, and you've got a new race leader. It's a familiar name, Matt Waltz. Is back front leading the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Yeah, I was
did they complete a lap?
Good.
That's going to be the question. So we'll have to look back at timing and scoring and see exactly when that caution came out.
Well, I'm glad you guys said that. To me, though, it looked like they waited till Waltz got to the line
everyone has to get to the line.
for that.
Yeah, everyone has to complete the lap.
And that's good. That's why, again, that's why you need multiple people here.
Yeah, well, it looks like a little more than half the field had gotten to the line, but there were definitely still cars back behind.
And looking at the timing and scoring, it's already been adjusted, reflecting just what you guys are saying. Connor Hall is back in front.
Take a look at this restart. Take a look at Bobby McCarty. He's the 5th car on the outside line. And you can see right there, even before turn 1, he's got a problem. 91, Justin Carroll, it looks like he has a problem as well.
Kind of an independent problem as well. They just happen to both have bad luck in the same restart. Man, bummer. Again, 2 guys that are fan favorites. You hate it for everybody and anybody. And I think James has already got it surrounded again. He's ready with Bobby McCarty.
Got the answer before he even made it to pit road. Got his crew. They looked at me, made a little hand gesture, said the shifter broke on McCarty's car. So that's the issue with the McCarty Motorsports machine. Broken shifter for Bobby McCarty.
And again, not surprising to hear that, because you could see as they were coming up, and again, you're in 3rd gear, you're just going from 3rd to 4th on these restarts. And right at that shifting point, which here would be kind of right before the start-finish line, you immediately see him duck out of line. But again, so unfortunate. You think of all the things you could go wrong, everything that you can check, and sometimes something completely out of your control derails what has been a really quiet but really strong run for this Bobby McCarty machine.
Well, and we got to that restart a little quicker than I wanted to. We were just going to bring up Bobby McCarty. He'd worked himself into the top 10, guys, and so more heartbreak, more frustration for a 2-time winner in this event. Bobby McCarty, night is going to be done here.
Yeah, and about those shifters, about these shifters in these late model stock cars, they have one of the longest throws. When I talk about that, we talk about 3rd to 4th. That's what they're shifting to when they get on the gas into the restart. It's a really long pull back from 3rd all the way down into 4th, and so you're doing that all night long, and it's hard. It's hard on the transmission. It's hard on the lever itself, and manufacturer things can happen, faulty things can happen, it can break. You never know how long that car has been wearing on that shifter, and so that's one of the things that people talk about with these late model stocks. Dale Jr. talks about it a lot, about that long throw that's very different from a lot of other race cars.
You can see him messing with that shifter right now as he's trying to diagnose everything, see if he's able to go or okay. And a lot of times, especially for these restarts, if you're just going from 3rd to 4th, you talk about that pull. You can see kind of the grip he has where he's kind of pulling it towards his body. I know a lot of these drivers, when they go from 3rd to 4th, they'll kind of take an opposite and kind of go, they almost backhand it, where they grab it with their backhand, go from 3rd to 4th, because you're just going forward 1 gear on the restart.
Well, and the reason to do that, you could accidentally pull yourself into 2nd. And then you got a huge problem.
Yeah. That's even worse. But that's exactly why they do it, because they want to push it out. They don't want even the chance of them pulling it from 3rd to 2nd.
I think a fantastic moment there with the 2 insights that you guys gave, and then also the look inside at Bobby McCarty working the shifter. And I guess you kind of called me on. I mean, maybe Bobby's night is not completely done. Seems like it would be hard to trust that, though, and get back out there, though, wouldn't it, guys?
Unfortunately, he's gone a couple laps down, so his ability to compete
might not
for
even
the
be
win.
worth it at this point.
Yeah, to compete for the win is over.
Well,
also, another thing with these shifters, there's no magic, as my grandfather would say. You got to push the clutch down with these transmissions.
Yeah,
and
it's tough.
Your grandfather was the one that knew quite a bit about shifting, more than a lot of other race car drivers, but we'll table that discussion for the moment. Let's talk about these race car drivers, these modern day legends. Connor Hall, Matt Waltz, boy, they've been putting on a great show all night long, and we just saw a shuffle in the running order, gentlemen. I'm not going to do a thing where I said I told you so, but let's figure out what happened here, because now timing and scoring has Matt Waltz as the race leader.
Well, and let's see who jumps first. That's going to give us our best indication. But to say that, I was going to say if Connor Hall was the control car, I'd be surprised in picking the outside just because of how Matt Waltz got it last time by before we got that caution. So let's see who jumps first in the restart zone, and then we'll know.
Well, Connor Hall last restart was A+ extra credit. If he can do it again, it could lead to another race win. and Matt Waltz will have a say. They enter the Empower Broadband restart zone. Green flag flying in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Crash, and now cars are trashed. Big pile up in turn 1. Big stack up that has involved a bunch of vehicles at South Boston Speedway. Leaders got through no problem, but we are going to have to unsort and just identify a bunch of cars that have had serious problems.
Oh my gracious. There's some 77s in there. Justin Hicks is in there. Blake Stallings is in there. I see Trevor Ward, Raymond Pittman III, Deke McCaskill, Connor Jones. Let's see who's on the wall up there. Let's see. 91 of Justin Carroll. Yep. Oh, goodness. He was having such a good night.
Quite a few of them driving away, guys. I will point that out as we continue to chat. And let's say this. More driving away than are not driving away. So this could have been worse. But that's not going to make the cars that can't drive away feel much better right now.
It looks like Jeff Sparks not on the move, as well as the 5 of Jonathan Schaefer. Looks like Toby Lane is stopped there on the bottom, just in behind the 7 of Jeff Sparks. So those are the 3 cars not moving. You'll see Silvestri, Justin back in there. Toby Lane is moving. So it looks like 2 cars, only not on the move.
We referenced that big one from 2022 a lot. That's where it happened right there, entering turn number 1. This one looked like a big one initially, but it's not as bad as we thought. Again, that's not going to make guys like Jonathan Schaefer feel any better when we say, well, it's not as bad as we thought. It's as bad as we thought for him.
Well, and you see all the little bits of damage. Landon Huffman got big nose damage from that. Let's look back, look into the pits. 77's got damage, and you can see a lot of body damage for that, especially on Blake Stallings as well.
James Pike's got an up-close and personal look downstairs. Go ahead, James.
Now, all the work here focused on the left rear, which got a heavy, heavy shot cosmetically. However, it looks like, at least from the front end of the car, that it's the bracing that took most of the brunt of the impact. The crew is looking there on the left rear wheel well, just make sure there's not any heavy damage underneath. But I think that's a point worth noting, and it's something that I learned working with Caitlin Vincey at Northwestern a few weeks ago, that the bracing here occupies more space than what you see on the national level cars. So a hit that looks pretty bad, that you would think would take out maybe a cup car or an Xfinity car or a truck of some form, might not necessarily be as bad here. So certainly fenders to pull out on the 22, but it may not be as bad as it looks. We'll just have to see what the team is able to uncover as they take a closer inspection on this thing.
That 22 machine belongs to Carson Lofton. He had high hopes for this race. They may not be completely dashed just yet, as you heard from James Pike there, just about how the car is built, and sometimes it's not as bad as it appears. We're getting a good visual on the Flow Racing broadcast right now, taking a look. Blake Stallings went through some damage during that incident as well. We saw Blake's hood a little messed up. We will have a replay incoming of the incident in question. We'll try to figure out just exactly what happened here in just a moment.
Start back from that restart. Connor Hall was the control car there. You'll see him jump on the outside, but let's watch it. Doug Barnes Jr. is back there, but that happens back behind them. It looks like it starts on the inside. I believe it starts with Huffman, maybe.
I mean, it's Huffman, it's Doug Barnes, it's somewhere around the outskirts of the top 10. I don't know if it was somebody that missed a shift. You can see Buddy Isles Jr. spins. A couple drivers go low and miss that. Cade Brown, Chase Burrow. Just an absolute parking lot up here. I believe a couple of those cars came to a stop. Camden Gully right there. You can see him at the top end of turn 1. I think he didn't hit anything. He didn't hit the wall. He just came to a stop. But again, look a little bit further back around row 5. Look at that red 88, the 57 of Landon Huffman on the inside row. And it looks like, Huffman's the first one that gets the worst.
Looks like a bit of a stack up, but not from a missed shift. I think it would have been a little bit more aggressive. I just think everyone was pushing on that inside lane, and then it looks like Huffman was pushing into the 88 of Doug Barnes Jr., and whoever was behind him might have lifted the 57's rears, got him spinning, goes up into the outside of turn 1. Nowhere for anyone to go.
Yeah, because that would have been really late down the front straightaway for a missed shift, because you're shifting a lot earlier on the straightaway than right there. So that's a a very interesting scenario right there. But again, it just very little room to go when you have these wrecks into turn one.
Well, and you can't say you're surprised that drivers pushing too hard, because we're 43 laps to go. There are no more brakes. Well, there's going to be no required brakes. So we are coming up to the close, and so those positions within the top 10, they've got to battle for everything they got, because they have raced, and they have seen how hard it is to pass. They know how critical the restarts are to try to gain position.
I was just going to mention restarts, and, you know, the problem came on a restart there. So that's a double-edged sword. You need to be great on the restart. You don't need to be so aggressive that you cause another stack up. James Pike all over it once again. It looks like he has Jonathan Schaefer ready to go down in the pits. Maybe not just yet for James Pike, as we'll get over there to him. And, you know, I'll say it, hardest working man in motorsports on 200 night, James Pike, and then Mitch Gerhardt he's a 1A himself in that equation. Mitch is on that camera down there working so hard. We'll say thank you to Will Tinsley, Dan Love, Dandy Dan, the love-making man, Todd Sanders, and we'll finish that up in just a second, because, yes, now James is ready.
Mitch working as hard as anybody in racing to get halfway across the track to make sure that we could get a word with Jonathan Schaefer. Jonathan, what did you see? Did you see anything from where you were?
Honestly, saw nothing. You know, I don't know if it was a missed shift or, you know, someone just driving in too deep. But it's, you know, everybody races here a lot. We should know how to race and get into the corner. It's just frustrating. You know, we put a lot of time, money, and effort into this. You know, Hettinger, you know, they worked on the car all weekend to get it better, and I really feel like we had a good long-run car. It just sucks we weren't able to show it in the last 50 there. But just a big thanks to Mansfield Speedway and Matt Tift, you know, for helping us out. You know, it's great revival going on over there. He's doing good stuff, and thanks to Hettinger Racing and everybody. It just sucks. I have no clue what happened. We just can't make it in the corner.
A lot of Midwestern connections there with Tifton and yourself as well, and then got the Hettingers from Michigan. This is really your first weekend really working on an extensive level with Hettinger Racing. What did you learn about the program, and what do you take away? What's your impression of what Chris has built here, especially in this past few months?
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's built a really good program and a really good two-car program. You know, got two really good crew chiefs, great crew guys, good equipment. You know, Chris has a really good thing going on here, and, you know, looking forward to the next one. It just sucks that, you know, we get taken out early.
Any idea when we'll see you back in a late model anytime soon?
You know, planning on running the Triple Crown, so see me back at Langley.
And this 5 cars had speed. Doesn't matter whether or not it's Caden Honeycutter, Jonathan Schaefer. They've been quick. The luck not with them tonight, but we'll look to try and rebound at the Hampton Heat in a few weeks.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Jonathan Schaefer. Better race finishes to come for that talented young guy. We're going to pause one more time here on the Flow Racing broadcast. We may not have any more restarts after this next one, so you will not want to miss it. Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 2025 edition has been memorable already. How about a historic finish coming up next on Flow Racing?
I'm Lee Pulliam, 6-time Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 champion, and you're watching Sobo on Flow.
We have seen a little bit of everything tonight at South Boston Speedway. Well, what else would you expect, race fans? Come on, this track does always give us so much. Some great racing, some collisions, some knockout blows, and some drivers that are still in it. We had some fun in-break banter. You two guys, my two colleagues here, I'm Kyle Haney, Scott Shive, and Blake McCandless. We're debating the starting lane choice for Connor Hall. I almost had to separate these two guys in the break, fans. But, no, just talk a little bit about what you guys were seeing with Connor Hall, because it sounds like you two have differing opinions about his lane choice.
Yeah, well, and you can see it right there. Right here to the inside as the wreck happens in turn one. Here's my thought process. I'm surprised to see him not choose the inside. I know that you want the high line. It's the preferred groove, but let's watch this restart again. Yes, he gets a good jump. That was a great jump from him, but look on the inside. Look how Matt Waltz is able to, and you'll lose it, but he's able to roll the center on the bottom so well, better than Hall himself. But let's think about when Hall first took the lead. He jumped at a great time on the bottom, was able to push the two up and get it in the next corner.
Well, again, I think if you're Connor Hall, it's not about the entry to the corner. It's off at turn 2. That high side, I think, is exactly where you want to be. For more, let's head down to James Pike.
Quick update on Superman. Blake Stallings, big fan favorite here at South Boston Speedway. A lot of work on the radiator. They sort of just sawed off the rear end. The rear bumper was pretty much torn up enough that it wouldn't be useful. So there's no rear spoiler on that car. But a lot of the work under that open red that we ended up having was to make sure that the ductwork of the radiator was clear and that the radiator itself didn't have any damage. They figure if the radiator's okay and we can get a little bit of air to it, we'll be good to go, complete laps, and try and make up points. We talked about earlier when Trevor Ward got involved in that lap 1 incident that this could be a big night, not only for national points, not only for Triple Crown points, but for track points here, trying to go towards the South Boston Track Championship. That's exactly what Blake Stallings is trying to chase after. So a lot of the motivation for him to get back out is to just try and make sure he doesn't lose too much ground and make something out of a night where we could see a lot more calamity and twists and turns for some of the regulars at South Boston yet.
And talking about all of those drivers in the top of the charts in the Centerra late model division standings here at South Boston Speedway, all 4 of them have been involved in incidents, and the only one still on the track at this point is Peyton Sellers, but he's over 30 laps down. So our top 4 are way out of contention.
And we haven't exactly run down how the points will work for folks that have been running regularly here at South Boston Speedway. Maybe if we get another break, we'll hold that thought. But I think the cars that are on track, guys, deserve the full spotlight, especially with 40 to go here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Much, much brighter days to come for our South Boston Speedway regulars for sure. But right now, the focus shifts to guys like Matt Waltz and Tate Fogelman and Connor Hall, Darren Krantz Jr., Ryan Millington. Wow, a lot of good choices there, man.
Yeah, Ryan Millington working into the top 5. I mean, you said it, Blake. You said how him and his dad felt, how the team felt, and how little they practiced. But he's showing why they had the right intention. They had the right idea. They knew what they had under them.
Well, again, they're brilliant people. They're some of the hardest workers in this garage area. And you got to believe them. When they say that they have a good piece, Ryan doesn't mince words. He doesn't think, oh, you know, we're kind of good. Anytime he says that we have a great race car, he means it. And even without a ton of track time, you know, throughout the last couple of days, again, they were able to bring this program. They tested here for a while leading up into this race. Again, they kind of shifted their focus to this Triple Crown away from the Cards Tour that they typically run on a full-time basis, and I think that's allowed them. Again, he's talked in the past about this program. If we could just get to the racetrack and be able to test, because he does so much with this race team. He works with Graham Holler, who runs often at Hickory Motor Speedway in a late model stock and a limited late model. They're a racing family through and through, but they just don't have the time, the resources to put in. And now that they have a little bit of that time, that just helps a program where they have a lot of great minds working on the car, working that much better.
Let's go back to another great racing family, the Fogelmans, trying to squeeze this in before that last restart. Tate Fogelman, he knows how to hold his nerve in a big race. He's got a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series win. It's on a super speedway, completely different animal. But I think when you've done something at that level, that has to give you confidence here. Dad Jay Fogelman came awfully close to winning at Martinsville in the Valley Star Credit Union 300. It could be time for the Fogelman family to get a crown jewel here tonight. It won't come without a fight. It's still Matt Waltz and Connor Hall up front. Let's see how that lane choice works out for Connor Hall, guys. He's on the outside line to start.
It's your pick, Blake.
Yeah, well, I just think if you can choose the bottom, but if you choose it, you got to make it work immediately, because as soon as you're side by side with that driver off of turn 2, they're the one that has the momentum. So you can make it work, but you got to nail it perfectly.
You have to, but I think we saw Connor Hall do that. You got to replicate that. But again, I just think about the rotation that Mark Waltz has on that bottom, and we're going to see if it prevails here, if he can get that from Hall. But Hall will be the control car. And again, as a second place car, you can beat the leader to the line, but the control car has to be the first to jump. Through the Empower Broadband restart zone, good jump from Connor Hall, but can he hold it on the side? Yes, he's able to. Pinches off Matt Waltz. He's clear to the lead, and it's a fight for second between Krantz Jr. and Waltz.
Connor Hall used that high line. He used that gravity to just shoot himself right down the hill and clear Matt Waltz. The race is not over yet, but Connor Hall's been A+ on the restarts, and you guys were seeing that bumper banging all through the field. Oh, yeah, 3 wide in between turn 3 and 4. This is what it's all about in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
That helped Tate Fogelman out a ton because they checked up on the top side. He wasn't going to have a hole to get up there. He might be able to find one in front of Matt Waltz, but he's going to stick to it on the bottom, looking for second place. Here comes Darren Krantz looking for second. He's got it over Tate Fogelman.
I'm eating my words on the restart now, but there Connor Hall well and away. A little bit less than a second. Battle still on for second. Tate Fogelman looking for Darren Krantz Jr. And again, I mentioned it again, Darren Krantz Jr. only 14 years old, running second in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson with just over 30 laps to go.
It's that kind of race tonight. Veterans and rookies. We've got young guns, we've got pistols, we've got hot shoes, and everything in between. And how about the man who loves spending time on a boat? Connor Hall is trying to set sail on the field right now. Looking good for Connor Hall. Further back, it's getting tougher and tougher for the rest of the group. Darren Krantz Jr. still in second. Tate Fogelman running third. Matt Waltz, who led so many laps in this race, has dropped down to fourth. Parker Eatman rounding out your top 5 in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 with 30 to go, 30 laps remaining.
This is really impressive.
Very impressive. 2 of the fastest cars on the racetrack that last lap, and in fact, they ran the exact same lap time, Darren Krantz Jr. and Tate Fogelman. So they can sort things out. Fogelman's fast enough from the bottom. Krantz is quick enough on the top side. They're not slowing each other down right now, but they ran down Connor Hall that last lap.
Update here, Woody Howard in the top 10, ladies and gentlemen. We have not talked about Woody Howard too much, but he has worked himself into the top 10. Good going, Woody Howard. Connor Hall still pacing the field right now and looking awfully good. Connor Hall's going to come out of turn 4. Here comes the side-by-side again back through the field as Connor Hall passes the flag stand one more time. 27 to go for your race leader.
Eatman and Waltz, they've been racing hard. They had a little bit of contact the last couple of laps. Millington kind of settled in behind them right now. But this is where Fogelman, again, I think his car's really good on the bottom, but he's got to make this move quickly. He doesn't have the time to sit around. He doesn't have the luxury of being able to battle Darren Krantz Jr. for a very long time. 26 to go. Connor Hall's scooting again. He's got time if he can get by Krantz, but that time is running out.
Well, even running side by side, they're almost the exact same lap time as Connor Hall, just a couple of hundredths off. And you got to imagine if they could both get single file, they could chase down the leader. At what point are you Tate Fogelman and lay off and let Darren Krantz Jr. try to catch Connor Hall? It's hard with under 30 laps to go, now under 25 laps to go. I don't know if you can take the chance, but you're running the same times as leader right now as you're running.
Race leader Connor Hall would love to go back-to-back. He would join Peyton Sellers and Lee Pulliam as drivers to do that in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. We have seen talent from Darren Krantz Jr. He has run inside the top 10. He has led laps here at South Boston Speedway this season. This is a step beyond that, Scott. This is the best we've seen from Darren Krantz Jr. as he is not only holding off Tate Fogelman, but Krantz Jr. might be inching his way closer to race leader Connor Hall.
You talked about up-and-coming stars being in the making. Darren Krantz Jr., one of those in that number 77. I mean, Tate Fogelman has a lot of racing experience under his belt. You would say the 77, not quite as much, just hasn't lived quite as long, but he is running out there and defending like a veteran.
Well, time to use the bumper for anybody? Sorry, Blake.
Yeah, I was just about to talk about experience. This is Darren Krantz Jr.'s first year in a late model stock car, and yet here he is at the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, running second. Right now, Connor Hall driving off into the sunset, but I spoke to his spotter yesterday. It was Zach Fowler, the spotter of the 77 to Darren Krantz Jr. He was so impressed with the learning curve that he feels like, especially the last month or two, that Darren Krantz Jr. has made some significant strides as Krantz is going to be able to make up a little bit of ground. Connor Hall approached lap traffic that was too wide, so a little bit of the chunk that Connor Hall built in his race lead got eaten into that last lap. He lost several tenths of a second, lost nearly half a second, as a matter of fact. 7 tenths last lap he lost to Darren Krantz Jr.
You can see how slow 77 Blake Stallings is without that rear spoiler. Wow, it gets tied up of turn 2. Look who's back into
third, it's Matt Waltz. He's on the inside of Darren Krantz Jr. through all of that mess with lap traffic. He's been able to make his way back forward, now battling to the inside. That's where he's been strongest.
Going to get wheel to wheel with Darren Krantz Jr. Matt Waltz is going to have to muscle up and dig in. There's still time, but everybody is running out of it. 16 to go. There's the side-by-side battle. Matt Waltz in the number 2. He was the pole sitter. Young Darren Krantz Jr. in the 77 on the outside. Tate Fogelman still lurking.
Oh,
there's the
he's
contact.
into him, but he saved it. Thought he was headed towards the inside wall, but Waltz saves it. Great job there.
Wow. You cannot believe that. Darren Krantz Jr. almost lifted up on that left rear tire. They're able to back out just for a moment, able to keep it together. That's impressive on the both of them.
It really is. It really is. And I think the fans are appreciative. I saw everybody jump to their feet there. Don't take your eyes off that battle for the second position. Connor Hall is still your leader. And, you know, I was saying Tate Fogelman was lurking, maybe waiting to strike. If he didn't do it there, I don't know if he can do it, guys, but it remains to be seen. Again, he has just a little bit of time here for Tate Fogelman and the rest of the field to make moves, but they have to start coming now. You can't count on another restart.
I think with the battles going on, you're going to have another restart. I think unless Connor Hall has a problem, he's too far out. He's over 1.5 seconds ahead of Darren Krantz Jr. And as he continues to fight Matt Waltz, you're not going to gain any time on the leader. And guess what? Here we are, 11 laps to go. In one more lap, if we get a caution, it will be only green flag laps that count.
I was about to say, if you're Connor Hall, you love what you're seeing happening way behind you, but on the other hand, you kind of hate it because you don't want these guys too hard. A yellow flag would erase that lead, but with 10 laps to go, he's not got a ton to worry about behind him. Almost 2 seconds now, that gap between 1 and 2. Got a little bit of lap traffic he's going to have to deal with, but we'll see if these two can settle it out.
This is, Scott knows what I'm going to say right here.
Man.
Yeah, it's getting dicey again. No leader wants to see a restart right now, but I have a feeling if we get one, Connor Hall will back himself to still win the race. He will trust his skills, he will trust his stuff, and he will say, that's fine, I can negotiate another restart. Did it last year, handled a restart late in the race to win the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Connor Hall has been great on the restarts tonight. You can see the brakes glowing there for Connor Hall as he drives it in deep. Race leader across the stripe with 7 to go in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Connor Hall, left side of your screen. The battle is still on for second place there as Matt Waltz is going to use the front bumper again. Just a little love tap that time. Not a full-blown fire shot at Darren Krantz Jr., but those two guys are putting on a show for the fans. It's benefiting Connor Hall. There's some side-by-side right now for the third position. Parker Eatman wants to take over fourth, I beg your pardon. Parker Eatman wants fourth from Tate Fogelman.
Man, Parker Eatman trying to eat up some track, get across the stripe in another upwards position. He's up into fourth now, and he really muscles his way. Whoa, there we go. Matt Waltz back into the 77, and I cannot say enough about Darren Krantz Jr. and how well he is holding this car. Now that move finally got to him. Matt Waltz back into second, but he's 2.2 seconds back from Connor Hall, and we only have 3.5 laps remaining.
Again, he used him up there a little bit, but he's trying to get out of Dodge right now. And again, you got to think, you're thinking of a full Triple Crown effort right here. Do you want to throw away a good finish? Because again, if you're running the top 5 right here, you're set up great to go to Langley or Martinsville and have a shot to compete for a Triple Crown. But right now, it is all happening well behind the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet of Connor Hall.
2 to go for the number 88 of Connor Hall. And you talk about drivers that have done it at seemingly every stage. He's won the Hampton Heat, and he is the defending champion of this race. The Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 is Connor Hall's to win right now with the white flag flying. The meal of choice last night was a cheese and chorizo burrito for Connor Hall. That seems to have worked out. You can roll it up and ship it, Connor Hall, and make it a double. Back-to-back wins for Connor Hall in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. He defends it in 2025.
And he does it with style and not with ease. He fought for it in every way. The hardest battle with him and Matt Waltz, and he was able to prevail, and he prevailed on the high side.
And he didn't have to come from 22nd to do it this year. We talked about how hard that was for him a year ago when he had a great race car, but he got to manage a race. And, again, great driver, great race car. But you talk about executing a weekend. Came in, was great in practice, wasn't too worried about anything. They improved and worked on this car all throughout the weekend and executed a perfect race, nearly a perfect race.
Goofed off with Connor Hall, as I said yesterday after the meal at the Mexican restaurant, and then again before the race today. He said, don't jinx me on there. Don't jinx me on there. I'm not superstitious, but, you know, don't go too deep with this. Connor Hall's going to win back-to-back. No jinx tonight, Connor Hall. You have done it. You are the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson champion one more time. What a run from Matt Waltz. We cannot say enough good things about Matt Waltz, guys. And another podium for Darren Krantz Jr. on the biggest stage of his young career. Darren Krantz Jr., he performed.
And by the way, you'll see the number 88 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet no matter what in the Valley Star Credit Union 300 in Martinsville. First driver to lock in.
New this year, and we made a mention of it a lot tonight because of how important it was. It's a 10 grand check in the pocket of Connor Hall. And it's so important to get locked in to the Valley Star Credit Union 300. So he'll be putting, he's already put September 27th on his calendar, but he knows that no matter what, on that night, he will be racing.
A couple more thoughts on the finishing order here. Parker Eatman was 4th. Ryan Millington, 5th. He started 20th, ladies and gentlemen. Ronnie Bassett, Tate Fogelman, Doug Barnes Jr., Brandon Pierce, and Woody Howard round out the top 10. Let's give the spotlight back to Connor Hall.
Revs it up a little bit here in Philip Morris victory lane. Back to back, as Kyle Haney said, as he crossed the line. Connor Hall gets it done, this time with Junior Motorsports. His first win for them in a Virginia Triple Crown race, and another win here at South Boston in the biggest race of the season here at Sobo, the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Taking a moment to get the helmet off, get the radio out, get the Hoosier neckband on, and then he will climb out and have the opportunity to celebrate one more time at a place that is becoming very familiar to this Hampton, Virginia native. Took it away from everybody on that final restart, and then just drove off the front and sort of just was able to gap everybody else, for lack of a better word. They were fighting so hard for second that Connor was just able to increase that lead lap by lap by lap, and did not have too much of a challenge in the end to make it here to Philip Morris victory lane. Two-time champion of the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series, and now with an opportunity to add yet another major trophy to his resume. Hans device comes off, looking for a rail to climb out of. Here comes Connor Hall, winner of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 for the second year in a row. As he hops out, they're going to make sure he gets a Gatorade right off the rip to make sure he's okay. Connor, you're back here. Early on in this race, I was listening to radio. They were telling you to sort of hold back a little bit. You don't necessarily need to go now. So what about that restart ballpark 150? Why was that the right time to push and get away from everybody?
I just remember from last year and years prior, this track position is so key at the end, because no matter how good your stuff is, it's all worn out at the end. So I'd rather make their job a little harder at the end than them make my job harder. So just thought that was the right move. Thought we had a 50-50 shot at the win, and then once we got out front, I don't know if it was the air or just finally once I wasn't behind Matt, everything was cooling off a little better, but it really started to turn the middle really well, and the old horse took us to victory lane tonight.
You came to this team in the offseason with the intention of doing things like this. I know this is not the only goal in 2025. It's not the last goal in 2025, but to check this one off mentally, how big is that for you doing it with this team?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, there's not a group out here that I want to win for more than these guys. And obviously Dale Kelly, LW, Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops, Road Rooter, Sundrop, everybody that puts effort into this program. Brian, Slim, Justin, Ernie, Darren, everybody puts a lot of time into this, and just to be able to win for those guys feels really good, and at least justifies me being in the seat a little bit. And I'm on top of the world right now. To be able to go back-to-back in an event this big is huge, and hopefully we can one-up ourselves from last year's Hampton Heat and maybe win that thing too.
Coming away with a decent-sized check here. Maybe money for a new pair of running shoes that we talked about last night. Maybe get you out there and go for a few more jogs here?
Yeah, maybe. I think after today, I've evaluated that I probably need to run a little further than the snack bar. So going to buy some new shoes, hopefully make a mortgage payment, and hopefully spend the rest on some more racing.
Connor Hall, he's a real person just like the rest of us, and he's got a little bit of stickering to do on this machine. He's got a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 winner sticker to put on this car and get right on top of the B-pillar before he goes through all of the celebrations that will happen in Philip Morris Victory Lane. Going to clean off a little bit of space where the water did hit, and then he will get that planted down and paste it in, take a photo for everybody, and then he'll have a whole host of things that he needs to do in Philip Morris Victory Lane, and that'll allow us to turn our attention to the drivers who made up the other half of the podium, and we will start with the driver who finished runner-up. Matt Waltz comes home P2. Matt, top to bottom, do you feel like this is your best performance in a Virginia Triple Crown race today?
Statistically, yeah, I guess so. But, you know, I just got to thank everybody who worked so hard on the Waltz Engineered Sales, Waltz Water, Davcon Chevrolet. You know, we just having a little trouble getting going on the restarts and playing games and slowing the restart down a bunch. So, you know, but I guess he can get away with that. But, you know, really that's just what beat us, getting going on the restart and on the bottom there. But if we could have got going, I wouldn't have got so far behind and been able to race for the win. But, you know, just so hard to pass here. I got to thank everybody, all the fans out here at South Boston Speedway, and everybody watching at home. And I'm sorry we couldn't bring it home, but, you know, we'll regroup and get it ready for Langley here in a couple weeks.
Matt Waltz was a strong performance for a team that maybe doesn't have the most resources in the field, but they punched very, very well amongst one of the deepest fields in late model stock car racing. And how about Darren Krantz Jr. with the yoo-hoo here post-race to get rehydrated? But P3 for you and this Chad Bryant Racing team. Everybody turned over a new leaf with this organization, sort of went in a slightly different direction, decided to chase after weekly series points in 2025, and you come home with this kind of result, a P3. Does it feel like a bit of a coming out party for you?
I feel like it's pretty good for me to get top 3, I feel like. But I can't thank my mom and dad enough and the whole team for coming out today. We worked really, really hard past 2 weeks. They've been working extremely hard in the shop on this car. I can't thank everybody enough. Gage, everybody, the whole team, Chad, everybody that came out today, Steve, and Mike. But today was an amazing day. I think we're just going to learn. It was a very good learning experience for me today, doing a nice 200 laps at South Boston Speedway. And I can't wait to see what happens when we go to Langley Speedway for next week, and I think it's going to be pretty good. But I think the more I do this and the more I come to these big races, I think I'll just learn and learn and learn, and hopefully we'll get a win pretty soon.
If that's learning for Darren Krantz Jr., who's already set the bar pretty high, I think, to start, unquestionably in my mind, the best run that team has had in 2025 and on the biggest stage so far in late model stock car racing. And that, from my end, is the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Also think of, I want to make sure I give a shout out to the Tate Fogelmans, the Parker Eatmans. There were a lot of drivers who I think managed this race really well, started a little bit deeper they would have liked, but were able to drive up to the front, gain track position. It's a bit of a different race here, 200 laps. You have to be able to play a long game. Some of them do it better than most, and not a huge surprise to see drivers like Fogelman, who's got Truck Series experience, and like Eatman, who won the Thanksgiving Classic last November, be able to pull off moves like that. But at the end of the day, Connor Hall with his first Virginia Triple Crown win for Junior Motorsports, going back-to-back here. I think we're getting close to being able to say he's just the favorite when he shows up here, and it doesn't matter when you run late models, whether or not it's weekly race, whether or not it's Cars Tour, whether or not it's the Triple Crown. When Connor Hall is here, you have to keep him on the radar. He will always be a threat. This solidifies it. Doesn't matter whether or not it's a red car or a white car or a Bass Pro Shops car. Connor Hall at South Boston is fast. He's done it again tonight. Ends up in Philip Morris Victory Lane as the winner of the 19th Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
And we've got the Empower Broadband move of the race, and it did come from Connor Hall. He made an impressive run tonight. He didn't have to do it from the back, but he had to solidify it on this final restart. He chooses the outside, and with great provision, gets a great jump on the outside, gets on running, and gets clear of Matt Waltz out of turn number 2, where it was essential to get clear of the lead. And from there on, Connor Hall was able to coast to the finish and pick up a back-to-back victory in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Blake, your thoughts on the night?
Well, again, I think that's a great move of the race because, one, he got out there, but two, it set up a side-by-side battle for behind him that allowed these drivers to get away. But what a night. So many great stories looking throughout the field of teams that stuck with it, that persevered. We talked about Eatman getting back up into the top 5. He finishes in 4th. Ryan Millington overcoming a lot this weekend. He gets up into 5th. Brandon Pierce, how about a top 10 for him? He finishes in 9th. Woody Howard, like you mentioned, top 10. That is awesome. See, Connor Jones, that's somebody we didn't talk about a lot at the end of the night. He was multiple laps down early in this race. He finishes 11th. That's still a fighting chance approaching Langley and the Valley Star Credit Union 300 at Martinsville with a chance to try and get some really good finishes there and compete for a crown.
Perfectly worded by you, Blake McCandless, as usual. Thank you for everything you did tonight, and I know we are all looking forward to hearing Blake with some other talented broadcasters for the rest of the Virginia Triple Crown. Thank you, Scott Shive. Thank you, James Pike, and our production team. Wow, what a great effort tonight. Wins in the prior races for Zach Paragoy and Jordan Pennick. First-time winners tonight. BJ Reeves picked up another win. And how about this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200? My colleagues summed it up pretty perfectly. Feisty, fierce. There were fireballs on the track, and now it's time for our fireworks show. You can roll it up and ship it and make it a double for Connor Hall. Back-to-back wins in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. There were some great drivers tonight, but Connor Hall, the best of them all at South Boston Speedway.